Friend F25 who once rejected me M25 now says she likes me, now that I have money. 3 years ago in university, I told one of my best friends that I was in love with her. After pouring my heart out, she told me that she likes tall guys. Being told that I wasn't tall enough hurt quite a lot, but she wasn't trying to be mean, just frank. 18 months ago I started a company that expanded very quickly and I now have over 30 employees. Obviously, being the owner of a company this size, I now have a lot more money. Anyway, over the years, we've stayed good friends. On Wednesday 3 days ago she told me that she has feelings for me and wants to be together. She kissed me. We have a lot of history and I do still love her. I told her that I would have to think about it. I know that it's easy to assume that she just wants to use me, but is it possible that she now has real feelings for me? Can power make a man more attractive? I'm still the same person as before, I haven't changed at all. Part of me suspects she wants my money, but at the same time I love her so much and we've been close friends for a long time. It's just the worst timing ever because the money makes me question her motives. TLDR, friend F25 who once rejected me M25 now says she likes me, now that I have money. Comments. Commenter 1. Go out with her and split everything 50/50ths, see what happens. Reply, I would feel so weird doing that. I've always paid at least the first date, so it would be especially weird now that I have plenty of money. Plus she's been having money problems. Commenter 2. There could be a huge change in someone from 22 to 25. I can't tell if she's a gold digger or not. Did you ask her what's changed? Why is she interested now? Has she ever appeared shallow? What do you like about her? Reply, no, I didn't ask her if anything's changed. From my end everything is exactly the same. She dated a very rich guy a while back and she likes nice things, but not too different from anyone else. What do I like about her? Where do I start? She's beautiful and smart. We can talk about anything. She makes life bearable. We have the same sense of humor. Everything really. Commenter 3. From what you've said in your comments, i.e., she hasn't had a good job since she graduated, you always pay when you guys hang out, I wouldn't be surprised if your money is what she's most attracted to. I don't mean I think she's sitting in a darkened room plotting to take your money and laughing maniacally to herself, but it seems to me like she's now in a stage in her life where she realizes she doesn't have the means to support the lifestyle she wants herself. You already pay for your outings, so you're the perfect candidate. Commenter 4. I would have major difficulty trusting the relationship, and the most important question I would ask is will she have a good income herself? If she will be financially successful without you, then maybe she now sees you in a different light and yeah, I could trust her. If she was a theater major working at Chili's expecting to rely on you for financial support, then I would move on. Out of curiosity, what type of business is it? Reply, she majored in psychology but doesn't want to go back to school to study and hasn't really had a decent job since she graduated. She wanted to be a psychologist, but I don't think she has any idea now. That's one of the major reasons I question her. It's a software company. What other type of business actually turns a profit these days? OOP replying to a deleted comment, she lost her job 3 months ago so I helped her with money for 2 months after that. But she got another job a month or so ago. Commenter 5. You wrote you have lent her $3,500 these past few months. That's a crazy amount to borrow from a friend. I'm a hopeless romantic and want to see the best, but the fact that you have been just friends for years, she told you she wasn't interested in you before, and now that you have lent her $3,500 she wants you. I think it's clear what her motives are. Reply, it was $2,000 last year and $1,500 2 months ago, $3,500 all up. But she hasn't paid any of it back yet, the $2K I told her not to worry about. She has just gotten back on her feet after struggling the previous 2 months. Update. Since she told me she didn't want me many years ago, it's not like I've been lusting after her, but the feelings were still there. I know that everyone told me that it was a bad idea, but I had to try. I took everyone's advice and made sure that I didn't pay for anything that was extravagant or over the top. Anyway, last week we went on 2 dates. We did the whole dinner and a movie thing and we also went to the museum. Earlier this week we went to a play, which sucked, got some food after which we had sex, which has been a long time coming. All was good. Great, actually. Yesterday I went over to her house to bring her lunch. I knew she was home. I picked up some Chinese food and drove to her apartment. I had the spare key to her place, so I opened the door and went in, and see her fucking some guy on the couch. We made eye contact, then I just walked out. She called me like an hour later and told me that we weren't exclusive and that if I didn't want her to be with other guys, that's fine, but I needed to tell her in advance. I told her to get fucked. I don't have time for bullshit like that, so that was fun. TLDR, she had sex with another guy. Claimed it was because we weren't exclusive. We are no moss. Comments. Commenter 1. Honestly OP, if you didn't try this, you probably would be thinking what if and regret not trying. I know it hurts, but now you know for sure. Reply, yeah, I know. It just sucks because I thought we were in a really good place. Commenter 2. Here's the thing, if you hadn't had the we're exclusive conversation, her sleeping with or dating other people is fair game. That tends to be how things work. That being said, since she was the one who expressed interest in you, I think you made the right call. If she was really invested in making this work and it wasn't about the money, she wouldn't have been so keen on fucking another guy. If she really wanted you and since you've been friends for years, didn't need to do the whole getting to know you thing, she would have acted like it. Reply, if she was really invested in making this work and it wasn't about the money, she wouldn't have been so keen on fucking another guy. Commenter 3. I personally have never done this but I've had it done to me. Did you guys have a conversation about where you wanted it to go? Reply, not specifically, but when she told me that she had feelings for me she said, I want us to be together. I thought that was pretty self-explanatory. Commenter 4. So if you weren't exclusive or serious then why did you have a key to her place? Reply, it's not like she had a key cut specifically for me, she gave me the spare key to her place ages ago. I don't know why the idea of giving your spare key to a friend in case you get locked out is so foreign to everyone. Yeah. I took it home and ate it all. It was pretty good. But I ate way too much. Commenter 5. Dude, having a spare key you can use in case your friend gets locked out is fine. Inviting yourself over without so much as a call or text and letting yourself in with said spare key without ringing the doorbell. Come on. That's live-in boyfriend territory and you are only a few dates in. I'm not saying you should have dated the girl in the first place but, yeah, you were clearly way farther into this relationship than you had any rational encouragement to be. Commenter 6. I think it depends on the level of friendship. I have a friend who has an open door policy, if he's home, you're welcome to just walk right in. We have no idea how often he used this spare key when visiting her, but I would guess often, since he doesn't think it's weird. Reply, that's pretty much it. When I came over as a friend I never had to tell her, I would just come over. I've certainly never walked in on her with another guy before. Generally, if I knew she was seeing someone, I would give her space and not come over. Stories number 2. Aita for moving after winning full custody of my sons. My wife and I got a divorce last year. Our relationship failed after she was charged with felony credit card fraud and ended up pleading guilty to a lesser charge. She had been a son to our 2 sons 5 and 3 and had taken credit cards out in my mom's name to pay for God knows what. She shattered my trust. I work full-time and make a decent living, but nothing extravagant. I had no clue what my wife was doing until cops showed up at my door with a warrant and took my wife away in cuffs and took 2 laptops as evidence. When I got the full story I filed for divorce immediately. Aside from being a criminal, she was a good mom. She tried to justify what she did by saying she was just doing what was best for our kids, which I felt was total BS given that she never mentioned wanting for anything and any time she asked to spend on something I almost always said yes. I hired a good lawyer and asked for full custody of my kids. My ex begged me not to do that, saying she needed her kids. But she was still looking at up to a year in jail and nothing her lawyer said could sway the judge to grant her anything more than supervised visitation. She ended up doing 90 days in jail, paying some fines and restitution, but I've allowed her to see our sons almost every time she's asked. The last year has been total hell, but we've made it work. A few months ago I was offered a much more lucrative position a few states away. I talked with my lawyer about what it would mean if I moved and what the process was. He said that since I have full custody, I have to file a petition with the court to move. So I told my wife what I wanted to do and she exploded. She claimed I was stealing her kids from her, that she's made a lot of strides to get herself to a better place, and that she would fight me tooth and nail for her kids. Well, I filed the petition, got the go-ahead from the courts, and accepted the job. When the judge gave his ruling my wife burst into tears and began sobbing. It was heartbreaking. I know in my head that I'm doing the right thing for my sons. They are young enough that a move like this won't be too traumatic, but I also feel like their lives have already been completely overturned and I'm just adding more to that. As for my wife, she's a wreck. She's been begging me to reconsider the move, trying everything from guilt trips, manipulation, bargaining. It's like she's going through the stages of grief. But from my point of view, she did this to herself. She lied and broke the law. I have very little sympathy for her. I know at some point she will probably try to file for partial custody, and I'm prepared for that. For now, I'm just trying to do what's best for me and my sons. Does that make me an asshole? Edit. Thank you to everyone who commented, even the ones who called me a heartless for taking my sons away from their mother. This post has given me a lot of perspective and I appreciate that. A couple things I want to clear up that I keep getting asked about that I wasn't able to include in my original post. The area my sons and I live in is a smaller community. Not everyone knows everyone, small, but close. The crime my ex committed was news here. It was in the paper. People know about it. I get weird looks when I'm out in public. People have stopped inviting my sons to birthday parties. I don't want my sons to be bullied and teased in school about their mother being a criminal. I am not going to permanently alienate my sons from their mother. I will make sure they are able to talk and FaceTime with her whenever they want. I will be the one who makes the drive back in order for them to see her until she is able to make arrangements to allow her to do so. I will continue to work with my ex to make sure she is included in things like birthdays and holidays. I know my sons and I will all need therapy from this. There is not good mental health help available where my previous job is. My new job offers on-site childcare and I will have access to counseling and therapy for myself and my sons that we would not have access to without moving. The schools near my new job are head and shoulders above the ones near my previous job. If my ex gets her life back on track and is able to move closer to us, I'm all for it. If she does the things she needs to do in order to petition for shared custody, I don't intend on fighting her for that. But until she does that, I will not allow her anything more than the supervised visits ruled by the court. I will also not ask for any of the court-ordered child support, we won't need it. To all the people who screamed but she's their mother. Yes, and she always will be. And I remind my sons daily that their mom loves them very much and that she wishes she can be with them like before. I am angry and resentful of my wife, but I work very, very hard to not let any of those feelings impact my sons and their relationship with their mom. Relevant comments. Commenter 1. This is tough. The divorce and getting full custody. Fully deserved. NTA on that account. Moving to another part of the country where she'll have no contact with them. I'm not so sold on this. I think that you're still in pain and resent her, and rightfully so, but I'm not sure this is the best you can do regarding your children's relationship with their mother. Does she have any possibility of getting a job? Of moving? Or is she a financial mess as well, and what are her living conditions like now? Have you gone to therapy? Let me be clear, she did what she did and she's been held accountable for it. You've got a right to move from a legal perspective. But moving, when you know she can't do the same, will massively screw her relationship with your children, and it will only lead to more anger, resentment, and pain. Edit based on further comments from OP. NTA on all accounts. As has been pointed out, he's got a financial responsibility over his kids now as his ex isn't paying child support. All I suggest is that the relationship between mother and kid still be allowed as far as the law is involved, allowing, with FaceTime or whatever means are possible, because further isolation won't be healthy for the kids either. IMO. Reply. I don't know her full financial situation. I know she's working a couple part-time jobs and has a small 2BR apartment. Whether or not she could move I don't know. She's under probation, so she'd need to apply to move anyway. My new job pays over twice what my previous did. It's a huge opportunity for me to provide a better life for my sons. I don't want to sit around here and wait for my ex to get her shit together. Commenter 2. I understand. If you're moving into me, it sounds like you've already made up your mind. I know it would be painful or not very easy, but you've got to make an effort for your kids to have their mother in their life. I don't mean any form of financial assistance. I mean, make sure they can FaceTime or talk on the phone whenever they can, as long as it doesn't interrupt their school schedule, obviously. You don't have to sit around until she gets her shit together, just try not to add obstacles. I know many petty parents who would make it impossible to schedule calls or whatever. Not saying you're this kind of dad, just offering it as a suggestion to avoid a further strain which, yes, was caused by her initially. Reply. I do not intend on isolating my sons from their mother or preventing her from seeing them. But I also will not allow anything other than court-approved, supervised visits. FaceTime and all that stuff, I will work with her to make sure she gets to talk with them. But there will be no weekends at mom's place until the court gives the okay. I'm not saying I believe she will try to run away with my kids, but I also never believed she would defraud my mother of $30,000. Commenter 3. Can I ask something in my most non-accusatory tone? How did she get $30,000 worth of stuff as a stay-at-home mom and you didn't notice? Reply: she spent the majority of it on makeup and designer clothes. Commenter 4. Info: I know they're very young, but have you talked to your kids about the move and asked how they feel? Reply: they are excited about moving to a new place and a new house. But they don't understand why their mom can't come with. Commenter 5. I agree that a healthy relationship with their mother is a good thing given that we don't know where she spent the money, but that is no longer his highest priority. His highest priority is providing for his kids. The move is double his salary and has more growth potential. The mother is on court-ordered supervised visitation, which isn't usually the case with straight-up fraud cases. I have to wonder why they're insisting on supervision around the kids. Either way, if she was thinking about the best interests of the kid, she wouldn't have stolen $30K, so this is mostly on her. Reply: the supervised visitation is basically because my lawyer argued and the court agreed she would be a flight risk if left alone with the kids. Not saying that I believe that, but I also didn't believe that she would commit $30,000 worth of fraud against my own mother. Commenter 6. Question OP: she took out credit cards in your mom's name. Have you verified that your kids' credit reports are clear and she didn't apply for anything under their information? Reply: yup, one of the first things I checked after she was arrested. All clear in that regard. Commenter 7. Info: how do your kids feel about the situation? Are they better served being in the same city as mother, or never? You're effectively cutting off access between mother and children. Given your ex-wife's situation, she is not going to be able to see her kids again or in a meaningful frequency during their formative years, since she likely doesn't have the financing to fly to your city regularly. Will they even remember her as a mother as they grow up from ages 3 out of 5 for the next couple years? I can see how it'd devastating for her and them to have no mother figure. Edit: you should try to move on from your anger. She screwed up. She made a mistake. She went to jail. She betrayed your trust. That's not relevant to how she's going to be a mother in the future now that she's out of jail and appearing to change. Why lord her mistake over her for the rest of her life like it was the only thing she did that mattered? Reply: they are excited about moving to a new place and a new house. But they don't fully understand why their mom isn't coming with us. I won't tell you that it doesn't suck, it does. But this new job provides me opportunities for my sons that I can't offer them while at my previous job. As to my ex's situation, she made her own choices and she's paying the consequences for them. If she was in prison, she would be able to see her sons even less. At least this way she can still FaceTime with them, and I will work with her to arrange supervised visits. Commenter 8. Info: what is your mother's take on all of this? Reply: she was obviously very caught off guard. No one saw this coming. She had to go through so much BS to get her credit cleared up, get credit charges nullified, try to rebuild her credit. She wanted the book thrown at my ex and cussed out the prosecutor for offering a plea bargain. Commenter 9. Awful. That must have been a horrible strain for her. How's she doing now? Reply: barely getting back on her feet. She's on a fixed income, so this really put a strain on her. I will probably have to step in at some point and help her. Yet another reason I want to take the new job and increased pay. Commenter 10. This is a tricky situation. I'm gonna go with a low-key YTA. Listen, better life for your kids. What exactly does that mean? Are they living comfortably right now, financially? If so, what does more money mean to them? It doesn't translate to anything really when the cost is them being deprived of easy access to their mother. You think years from now they will appreciate that dad could get them a used Ford Mustang instead of a used Honda Civic, or will they appreciate being able to have easy access to both parents? You said yourself she was a good mom outside of her criminal episode. Like, obviously it sucks for you because you're being offered a better job for better pay. But, this shit ain't about you anymore, it's about your kids. And, if the only rationale for moving is, my kids can have a bit more money that they don't really need, well, maybe you should just stay put. Reply: the community my previous job was in is a smaller place. Not everyone knows everyone, small, but close. What my wife did was in the paper. People know about it. People look at me funny. People judge. I don't want my sons to grow up in a school where kids tease them about their mother going to jail for being a thief. It's not just about money, it's about quality of life. Yes, some of that is from a selfish point of view because I want a better quality of life as well. But I'm sick and tired of people downplaying how serious my wife's criminal act was and how devastatingly impactful it has been on our lives. Commenter 11. NTA: though your kids won't certainly think that when they become teenagers. Would love some more info on the fraud she committed and how you dealt with it. Reply: she took out multiple credit cards in my mom's name after getting her SSN somehow. Racked up about $30,000 before she got caught. My mom alerted her credit card company when she saw a couple unauthorized credit checks from different credit companies, and then the authorities got involved. I had no clue. She apparently spent most of the money on clothes and toys for the kids, makeup and clothes for herself. But that's a shitload of toys and clothes, so I find it hard to believe. Commenter 12. My kids go through clothes seemingly on a weekly basis. They grow like weeds. So seeing them in new outfits wasn't anything new. Also, my ex and I had a shared checking account and she made bi-weekly trips to Target and Walmart, so I was still seeing charges from them. What I didn't know was that my wife was going on designer clothes shopping sprees online and having the packages shipped directly to the post office so that they would get delivered while I was home. She thought she was clever about it, and maybe she was, for a while. But she still got caught. Commenter 13. NTA. You're probably saving your kids from future heartache, even if they resent you for it in those angsty teenage years. If she took out credit cards in your mother's name, what's to stop her from taking out cards in your children's names? She proved she can be deceitful and manipulative with her past actions, and that behavior isn't likely to stop because she went to jail for 90 days. Yes, she loves her kids and will miss them, but she has proved herself to be an untrustworthy person, and you have to do what you feel is best for the futures of your children. Definitely don't cut the mother out of their lives, maybe bring them to town every month or so to visit her, and she can move to the new town as well for supervised visitation after she completes the terms of her parole/probation. Moving away doesn't mean she never gets to see them again, and you can even set up family FaceTime calls so they can talk to her with you present or supervising. It sucks for her, but she made her bed, and if she wants what's best for her kids, it's going to be moving to a new place where dad makes more money and all the kids at school won't know mom was in jail. Reply: and all the kids at school won't know mom was in jail. This is an aspect I didn't touch on. My previous job is in a smaller community. Not everyone knows everyone small, but close. What my wife did was in the paper. People know about it. I get funny looks because I know people find it hard to believe that I had no idea what my wife was doing, and I've had some people call me out saying I let my wife take the fall while knowing full well what was going on. It makes me feel selfish, but a fresh start is as much for me as it is for my kids. Commenter 14. I was ready to say you are the because your children have a right to spend time with their mother, and they need both their parents if at all possible. But then I read your edits, and I agree that you have the better opportunities in your new place, and at least you are making sure the kids can FaceTime their mom and visit her. You know your wife and her skills, maybe you can help her find a better paying job near where you are. Like find suitable job ads and email them to her, so the children could spend time with her more often. I know what she did was totally wrong, but I am guessing there was a psychological reason, and I certainly hope she is in therapy for that. If you can, please help her get on her feet, even if it is by just encouraging her to get further education. Do it for the sake of your children. Edit, NTA. Reply: my ex has a college degree, ironically in criminal science. She has a work history from before we had kids, but obviously there is a big gap there. The area around my new job will have many more opportunities for work, but I know she has obstacles she has to overcome before she can make a move. If she is able to move closer to us, awesome, I'm all for that. Commenter 15. I'm going with NTA. The mom for obvious reasons. You though, said yourself you were doing fine financially, nothing extravagant, but you had no issues, so was it really necessary to move states away to get a better paid job? You are right, the kids have already been through a lot, but moving them away from the mother is sure as hell not going to help them, regardless of what their mom did. So, in this, you are the asshole. Reply: as I am now paying for childcare for 2 kids, yes, a higher paying job is necessary. My new job provides on-site childcare as a benefit which will allow me to at least see my sons during the day until they reach school age. Commenter 16. Well, in that case, is your ex going to pay child support? Reply: she's ordered by the court to pay a token amount, but hasn't yet. I haven't asked for it either. Update: I got a lot of people asking for an update on this situation, and since a few things have changed I figured I would go for it. I did end up taking the new job and moved with my sons. We have been settling into our new lives quite nicely over the last month and things have been going really well. My sons love the new house, they have made friends with some other kids their age in the neighborhood, my job has been going really well and I really couldn't have hoped for things to go better than they have. I got both of my sons into a great therapy program and the 3 of us have also been doing counseling sessions together. My boys have been adjusting amazingly well and I'm so happy and proud of how they've handled this. We've also made 2 trips back to see their mother since she is still in the process of figuring out what she will be allowed to do in relation to her probation. We've also been doing many video calls a week with her. My sons still don't understand why their mom isn't here with us, but they do seem to grasp that this is going to be their new normal. In comparison with how well myself and my sons are adjusting, my ex is the complete opposite. She is still very angry with me and thinks I'm a complete a-hole. She's frustrated with the process of going through the courts to be allowed to move. She's frustrated that I'm not willing to drive our sons back to see her as often as she'd like. She feels she's being marginalized in their lives and that I am pulling them away from her. When she was complaining about all of this during our last visit, I reminded her that all of those things are consequences of her own actions, and she blew up at me by saying I am kicking her when she's already down and I didn't need to take her sons away from her. I told her how well our sons are doing and how happy they are, and she should be proud of how strong and resilient they've been. She then started begging me to please move back so that she can be closer because she's not sure the courts will allow her to move and the process is taking too long. I told her that wasn't going to happen, but if there is anything I can do with the court process, that I would be willing to help if I can. I reminded her that I haven't said anything about her not paying the court-ordered child support, but that our boys seem to be in a much better place already and I'm not going to take that away from them. Every time we have a video call with her, as soon as she says goodbye to our sons, she starts asking me to consider moving back home. I tell her every time that it is not happening. I'm not a robot and I do feel bad to see her so desperate and distraught, but when I look at my sons playing and laughing with their new friends, I know I've done the right thing no matter the cost to my ex. Relevant comments. Commenter 1. I asked this on the original post, but did your ex ever come clean about where the untraceable cash payments went towards? That's still a big thing that should bug you when it comes to trust with your kids. Encourage her to get therapy and please pressure her into coming clean about that money and get her to show evidence so she's telling the truth. Reply. She's made some vague statements about paying cash for designer clothes, other higher price items. But still not enough to account for all of it, and I still take most of what she tells me with a large grain of salt. Commenter 2. Have you for sure ruled out drug abuse or an affair? I don't even know if a designer brand would even allow you to pay in cash. You said it was a small town. Did you have a legit retailer nearby in the first place? Otherwise she'd have had to put it on a prepaid Visa then use that to order stuff online. Reply. She passed every drug test she was given, and it's pretty difficult to hide an affair in a town the size of the one we lived in without someone eventually spilling the news all around town. Commenter 3. With the help of their therapist we are trying to answer their questions as best we can in terms they can understand. Right now they know that their mom did a very bad thing and was sent for a very long time out. They know her time out is over, but that she has to be on extra good behavior before she's allowed to have all of her privileges back. Their therapist has been absolutely amazing at helping them with all of the changes in their lives. Commenter 4. Is she able to move to where you are? Or is she stuck where she is due to parole/probation? Because if she's able to leave her area I would just counter all of her complaints with, well, you should save up for an apartment here and get a job here then. Sorry if you already addressed this question. Good luck to you and the little ones. I'm glad they made some new friends already. Reply. She is in the process of working through the courts to see if her probation will allow her to move. It's not a fast process from what I understand, and she is very much in the infancy of the process. Aita for contacting my ex-wife's probation officer after she showed up at my house. I have full custody of my 2 sons that I have with my ex-wife. See my past posts for some backstory on our relationship and why I have full custody. Because I now live a few states away from where my wife lives, I always knew that this holiday season was going to be difficult. For Thanksgiving this year I made the drive back to my wife's place so that she could spend the holiday with our sons. During this visit, I talked with her about plans for Christmas and told her that due to potential winter weather and the pandemic, I would prefer not to drive the kids to her again for Christmas. She did not like this and blew up on me about how I was isolating her from the kids. This was after I just drove hundreds of miles so that we could spend Thanksgiving together. I told her this was not up for debate and that we can plan for something in the spring once the weather warms up and the pandemic hopefully calms down a bit. I did however make sure to do a FaceTime call with her and the kids on Christmas Eve and told her that I would do the same thing on Christmas morning so that she could still see the kids open gifts that she sent to them. But when I went to call her on Christmas morning, she didn't answer. I tried back a couple of times but she didn't answer, and the last time it went straight to voicemail. Then, around dinner time, the doorbell rang. It was my ex. Of course, the boys were excited to see her, but I had a serious WTF moment. For a second, I actually thought about not even letting her in the house, but my sons were so excited to show her all their new toys that I couldn't do it. After things calmed down a bit, I asked her what the hell she was doing. She said she couldn't handle a Christmas away from her kids, so she made the drive to see them. I told her it was messed up she did this without telling me, but she said if she told me then I would have told her not to come. I then asked her if she got the okay from her probation officer, and she said of course she did. She then asked if she could stay for the night since she didn't have a hotel, and I allowed her to sleep in my guest room. Before I went to sleep that night, I sent an email to her probation officer asking if she had really asked for permission to travel. Since it was Christmas weekend, I didn't hear back from them right away, and my ex left the next day to head back home. That Monday, I got an email from the probation officer thanking me for reaching out to them and asking for a little more information, which I provided. A couple days later I get a call from my ex and she's screaming at me and calling me an asshole for contacting her probation officer. Apparently she hadn't told them or asked them, and now she could potentially land back in jail. She is accusing me of purposely trying to get her sent back to jail so that I can keep our kids away from her forever. That was never my intention, but I can kind of see why it looks like that to her. Does contacting her probation officer make me an asshole? Stories number 3. My daughter thinks she's entitled to my retirement money. I 55F have been a single mom most of my life. I worked multiple jobs, sacrificed vacations, and skipped luxuries just to give my daughter, now 26F, a decent life. She had everything she needed growing up: private school, a used car at 18, even partial support through college. I never asked for much in return, just for her to be responsible and independent. Lately, she's been pressuring me about my retirement savings. She found out I have been aggressively saving for the past 10 years so I can retire early and travel, maybe finally enjoy my life a little. Her response: "You should use that money to help me get a house." I told her kindly but firmly that I have already done my job as a parent. I'm not rich, I just planned well. And honestly, I deserve some peace. She snapped and said, "So you're just going to be selfish now? After everything I went through growing up?" I told her I'm the one who went through hell to raise her with stability. Now she's been giving me the cold shoulder and telling other relatives that I'm hoarding money while she struggles with rent. Stories number 4. Wibta if I divorce my husband just for asking to be polyandrous. This is really upsetting to me on all accounts, and I'm getting mixed opinions from the few real-life people I've talked to about it, so I could use the advice of total strangers. I 26F and my husband 27M have been married for just over a year and together for 4. We spent a long time before getting married talking about what we wanted out of being married, so I thought we were on the same page about all the important things. I do love him very much. He is sweet, helpful, and generally my dream partner until last week. Out of the blue, he sat down one night and said he wanted to talk about something. I thought it was just something minor he was frustrated about or a bad day at work or something. Instead, he talked about how he found out that his best guy friend and his wife are polyamorous. He and his friend have been talking about it more and he thinks he might like to try it, and wondered what I thought. I felt instantly sick to my stomach. We've always had a great sex life and he's never given me any reason to think he was interested in anyone else. I told him that I'm not interested in being in a polyamorous relationship. I want to be monogamous with him for the rest of my life. If it had stopped there, I don't think it would have gotten so bad, but then he asked if I would read about it and then decide. I said no, I already know how I feel about it. He asked if I would at least think about it, and for some reason that just did something to me. Like instant revulsion, kind of upset. I got up and told him that I was too upset to keep talking and that I needed some space, so I would sleep in the guest room that night and we could talk later. Ever since that night, I have the biggest ick any time I see him. He keeps trying to backtrack, but I know he meant what he said about wanting to be polyamorous. It's not so much that he brought it up, it's the 2 other asks after I already said I would never be comfortable with it. It's like that didn't matter to him. He thought he could convince me, and it makes me feel awful. What else is he going to pressure me about if I say no? And if he already wants to sleep with someone else, how can I ever trust him not do it behind my back? I'm still sleeping in the guest room and I'm thinking of just asking for a divorce now, when it would be simpler to divide everything up and go our separate ways instead of waiting until years down the line when I get my heart broken. He could go do whatever he wants and I could find someone who just wants a good solid monogamous relationship with me. The idea is killing me, but I feel like it's going to hurt now no matter what I do. While I do still love him, I don't think I can ever unhear and unsee my husband asking me for an open relationship, and the idea of him touching me makes me feel ill. He's upset and frustrated that I'm punishing him for asking a question, but I honestly don't know what he expected to happen. There is a part of me that thinks maybe divorcing him is being overdramatic, but also, the ick is so strong that I don't have much hope of getting back to where we were. Aita Reddit, gosh, this got a lot of replies. I'm reading through them as best I can. I'm going to take the advice to get an STI test and my gyno is going to work me in today for that. I don't think he would physically cheat, but better safe than sorry. I do think there is probably someone he's interested in, possibly his friend's wife or maybe even his friend. He's never expressed being bisexual, but that doesn't mean he isn't. I don't know them very well, so I can't speculate on their role in all of this. I'm going to be charitable and assume there are no machinations from their end and he just picked this up from his friend and ran with it. I want to be clear that I am not ignoring him. We can talk about whatever else is going on, but I'm not ready to continue this conversation with him and he knows that. I want to be calm for that and his behavior is not really conducive to a sense of calm right now. Every time he brings it up makes me a little more disgusted with him, but he seems intent on digging the hole instead of letting things settle. That and not taking the first no for an answer is a bigger issue than the poly ask for me. I think I'm going to meet with a lawyer just to go over options. At this point, I don't have a lot of faith in counseling changing how I feel about him now, but I would be willing to try a few sessions to say we gave it a shot. I'll throw that out there tonight and see what he says. Edit 2, he doesn't think counseling is necessary, he just wants to go back to the way things were before bringing it up. I've told him that's not an option, you can't unbreak a bone, it has to heal instead. I asked him if he had someone in mind and he said no, but he's not a very good liar and I don't really believe him. He says it was just an idea and there's no one and nothing has happened, but he also doesn't want to show me the messages between him and his friends so I can understand the content of the conversation they had. I will respect his choice, but it's enough to convince me that there's something he's hiding even if it's not an affair in progress and that's a problem. I've got an appointment with a lawyer in a few days. I'm going to wait until after that to make a decision and I'm going to take a short trip alone to see my grandparents this weekend to get some fresh air and perspective. I'll try to update next week after all the test results come back and I've had a chance to look at all the facts with a professional. Thank you for kind support and advice. Comments. Commenter 1, NTA. I don't think it's overdramatic to get out of a contract you signed with another person when they are trying to change the terms a year into it. Commenter 2, that's a powerful way to say it, and it takes the emotional side out of the picture enough to realize it makes perfect sense. That, and the fact that if your husband gives you the ick, it's obviously over, plain as day. Commenter 3, NTA. Polyamory is other relationships. Not just open sex. And men oftentimes overestimate their value and ability to get other partners. They also tend to already have someone in mind when asking. Commenter 4, and they also tend to get quite jealous when their wife starts having relationships with other men. Commenter 5, I have a lot of poly in my circle of friends. After being with my husband for 24 years we have discussed it. While we find it interesting and works for our friends though not without some drama, we ultimately decided it was better to water our own lawns instead. We were at a friend's house for dinner and another guest brought up a similar situation she was in and asking our poly friend Chuck his take. His answer was, look him in the eyes and ask him, are you really okay with kissing me goodnight when I had another man's dick in my mouth? Do you want me to tell you about it? Because this is what you are asking for. If you want to be super petty, start a free online dating profile. Then after you tell him this, let him look through all the DMs. NTA, it's really hard to come back from an ick. I would get your ducks in order and then make a decision if you want to stay, separate, divorce. At least you have a backup plan. Update. A lot of people wanted an update and I've made some difficult decisions. I took advice from the thread and got an STI panel done. Fortunately, it came back clear. I suggested counseling, but my husband does not think it's necessary. I doubt it will change my feelings, so I'm not going to push for it. He is being overly protective of his phone after I asked to see a message conversation between him and his poly friend to understand the context of the situation. I would not violate his privacy, but there clearly is something he doesn't want me to see and that's enough. It doesn't matter to me anymore whether there is something already in progress or just the desire for there to be. The shadiness of his behavior tells me what I need to know. I've been tempted to contact his friends directly to get their take, but in the event there is infidelity happening, I would rather not burden myself with the details, to be honest. I had a heart-to-heart with my grandparents this weekend and spoke with a lawyer yesterday. As of right now I'm planning to move forward with the divorce. With no kids and no joint property or debt since we were waiting on buying a house till I'm finished with residency, it should be easy to split the financials. The lease on our apartment is up in a couple of months anyway, so I plan to move out after breaking the news and just pay my portion of the rent on the current place until its renewal time. I'm heartbroken, but I'm convinced that this is the best move. I don't trust him anymore, I'm repulsed by his behavior since the ask, and I think it's best to cut our losses before digging the hole deeper. If he was willing to be transparent and do something to work on re-establishing trust, it would be different, but that's not the case and I don't want to put in effort that he's not interested in putting in. I will be fine with time. So, yeah, not a happy ending, but I think it's in my best overall interest and, if he's not happy with monogamy a year into marriage, his best interest as well. Hopefully, we can part ways quietly and without a lot of fuss. Comments. Commenter 1. You don't think this is a happy ending right now, but future you is gonna be so glad you left. Commenter 2. Man, I would love to hear his response to knowing he set fire to his whole life. Bet he's willing to go to counseling once divorce is on the table. That's what my STB ex-husband did and he was shocked to learn that the window for it had passed and what do you mean I can't just go back and undo that massive mistake I made? Commenter 3. That's the new favorite fad, immediately scheduling therapy or counseling when the partner walks or when they get caught cheating. Personally, that would be insult to injury to me and all the more reason to dump them. Someone running to therapy because they realize your walking is being disingenuous, they're just fumbling for a delay. The time to do it honestly was before the fallout happened. Commenter 4. Joke will be on him because he severely overestimated his market value. The internet seems to have a lot of dudes convinced they can have something that's basically polygamy. LOL, good luck with that. Commenter 5. The kicker is, you need a female partner to work the lifestyle. There's a million single guys looking to swing LOL. Can't even get into most clubs unless you have AF partner LOL 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 dude will be swinging his dick in circle jerks. Stories number 5. Aita for refusing to give my parents money now, after they kicked me out at 18. So I 24M was kicked out of the house by my parents literally the day I turned 18. No warning, no support, just you're an adult now, figure it out. I didn't have savings, no job lined up, no backup plan. I slept in my car for a bit, couch surfed, and did everything I could just to survive. Fast forward a few years through a lot of struggle, I built my life back. Got a stable job, picked up some valuable skills, and now I'm finally financially comfortable. Here's the thing, my parents recently reached out and asked if I could help them with their bills. Apparently they're going through a rough patch. I didn't immediately say no, but I did ask why now. They acted like nothing ever happened and said, we're still your parents. Family helps family. I told them that family doesn't abandon you the moment you become inconvenient. That they chose to let me go when I was most vulnerable and now I'm simply returning the same energy. They said I was being cold, holding a grudge, and that it's time to grow up and let go of the past. But honestly, how do you just forget being thrown out with nothing? So yeah. I didn't send any money. Now my extended family is split, some think I'm being cruel, others say I owe them nothing. Comments. Commenter 1. Family helps family unless it's you turning 18 and they can toss you out on the streets to go figure it out. Sure. Let them go figure out their financial problems alone. Reply. Exactly. That's what I thought too. It's wild how family helps family only applies when they need something but not when you needed a roof over your head at 18. I've learned to protect my peace now. Commenter 2. NTA. They treated you like a stranger when you needed them most. Now they're shocked you're not acting like their son. Actions have consequences. Family helps family goes both ways, and they dropped the ball first. Reply. I would have loved to have some family help when I was 18 and completely on my own. It's not about holding a grudge, it's about remembering who was there when it actually mattered. Commenter 3. NTA. Abusive parents always use the same lines yours did. They want you to forget all about your abuse so nobody will find out. Tell them to get fucked and do not help them. Ever. Don't balk at saying their crap back to them. I stopped being famicky when you abandoned me, and of course you want me to forget what you did so nobody will know about it. Then tell them no, and not to contact you ever again. If they do, you will consider it stalking. Best wishes to you. Live your best life without those wastes of oxygen. Reply. It's validating to hear that from someone who gets how manipulative it can be. I've come a long way trying to heal and build a life for myself, and I don't plan on letting them drag me back into that. Commenter 4. The extended family that things are being cruel, they're the ones that can do the family helps family crap. I always find that saying is so that someone gets ran over. Nta. Reply. Exactly. Funny how, family helps family only comes up when they need something. Where was all that energy when I needed support? Feels like it's a one-way street to them. Stories number 6. Am I wrong for questioning my whole relationship after I found out my 27F BF 30M was pocketing my rent money? We've been together 5 years. We live on a property my boyfriend's dad is renting. His mom and dad live in one house on the property and we live on the other. When we moved in, he told us the rent was $1,600 for the house, so $800 each for my BF and I. A steal, I know. However, I just found out that my BF and his dad came to an agreement at the start of the lease last spring that his dad would pay our rent in full and that the money I pay my BF for rent to, I had presumed, pass along to his dad for rent my BF could keep. He said they wanted to help him out by paying his rent and his car while he lived here with them, so this was how they thought to do it. I immediately felt betrayed for not being involved in knowing about this, but I also felt like it's a bit unethical because I wasn't aware of where my rent money was going. I had been suspicious for a while, but I finally had the courage to ask. He admitted it and my stomach sank. His first reaction was to be mad at me for being upset about it. His POV is that they didn't tell me because it's not my business since I'm paying rent regardless. Therefore, if his dad wants to give him $800 a month for his car and also pay his rent to help him, this is a less roundabout way of doing it. He just keeps the $800 I'm sending for rent. He said in essence, it isn't my money since it's rent money, so I shouldn't care where it ends up. He also said his dad asked him to keep it between him and his parents, so he was put in a weird position. I can see how this logically makes sense, but I can't help but feel like I've been paying him $800 a month to keep without my knowledge. I'm not upset of his parents helping him, that is between them, and I don't want to have my rent covered either. I'm grateful for the cheap rent and believe I should be paying rent. It's just the dishonesty and the fact that he just transferred my rent money into his bank account without telling me for a year that feels so wrong to me. We split everything else equally like groceries, utilities, and internet, except the occasional date night where he pays. I'm close with his family and frequently have them over for dinner, so it hurts that they all knew something I didn't. I have a full-time job and a side job. My BF is self-employed but doesn't make too much from that. I don't typically mind, but I would like us to be more open with each other about finances. I don't know how to move forward from this even though I want to be understanding and kind to him because he says it's a nuanced situation and that I should know he isn't the type of person to steal from me. He's apologized for the dishonesty but still doesn't see the issue. The relationship hasn't been perfect, but it has been worth staying in for 5 years. I just don't know how to get rid of this gut feeling that this situation doesn't sit right with me. Plus, rent was due yesterday and I haven't paid him yet. Is this grounds for a breakup or can we work through it? If so, how? Or is it truly none of my business? Any advice is so appreciated. Relevant comments. Commenter 1. I am confused. BF's dad is renting a property that has 2 houses but is paying rent for each of the houses separately or subletting one. You sure BF's dad doesn't just own the entire property? I would bet BF's dad doesn't expect any rent for the house and BF just told that story to get money from OP. Reply. No, it's like a big property with 2 small houses and their business is on it. He rents the entire plot of land, he doesn't own it. Each house used to have its own rent along with the business spot but now he just rents all 3 in one big lease. Commenter 2. So there is no $1,600 in rent to pay if he rents the entire property. It's just you paying $800 to your boyfriend. Dad isn't actually putting out any extra money for rent. He would be paying the same amount even if you and the boyfriend weren't there since he rents the entire property. You are being scammed. Commenter 3. Before you knew this, would you have described your relationship as having no real secrets? Has it changed how you view him or your relationship on a whole? Consider, if you were in a different rental agreement, and his parents were helping him financially without being involved in the rental agreement. He doesn't tell you. Do you feel the same way? Do you feel like your relationship should be past the not sharing important information stage? Do you feel betrayed? Does his remorse match your feelings? Reply. These are good questions. I would say there were no real secrets before, but this has changed how I view the relationship as a whole with him and the one I had with his parents too. After 5 years, I really felt like family, not a stranger. I don't think I'd feel the same way if my rent money wasn't involved at all. I do feel our relationship is past the stage of not sharing financial info. We've discussed marriage. I do feel betrayed. His remorse doesn't match my feelings. He's trying to dust it under the rug and move on from it because he doesn't see it as a big deal. My 30M BF says I 27F prioritize work too much, but he's basically unemployed. Is this just a difference in values or a deal breaker? I've been with my BF for 6 years now. He's a content creator and posts 2 to 3 times a year when certain products are released. I have a 9-to-5 job that is in my passion. I work from home, about 35 hours a week 40 on a hard week, and I have a side job related to my full-time job that takes about 10 to 15 hours a month. I love my job, although it can be stressful at times, but it's ultimately what I want to be doing. And I really don't think I overwork or prioritize it more than other things. I've always been super open about finances, but my BF has not, which I respected and didn't push after some unpleasant conversations about finances. I thought as long as he had it together, I was okay with it. I recently found out that he is getting help from his parents on rent and his car payment, so I'm the only one paying rent essentially, and he hasn't made a livable wage from his content creation since around COVID, which is why he needs the help. When he isn't making content, which he makes content about 3 weeks out of the year, he's doing whatever he wants all day long. We've been living together for 2 years now, and it's frustrating that he hasn't tried to find another source of income and is okay just taking help from his parents. He's not a 9-to-5 type of person, and that's okay, but I would like him to do something. We were arguing recently over the financial situation, and he told me that my job is taking away from my ability to be 100% present in our relationship and that it doesn't benefit him at all. He thinks the time I spend working and then the carryover after work, whether it's stress or tiredness, is affecting us negatively. He also said he doesn't benefit from me having this job. I disagree since I'm the only one actually affording rent and our split household costs like groceries. He also said that if my focus was 100% on our household, then our house between both of us would be spotless. I'll admit I'm messy, occasionally leaving my coffee mug and breakfast dishes in the sink until after work, or not getting a chance to clean the litter box during my work day. I also have ADHD, so will let laundry pile up in my office get cluttered, but I'm working on it and always make sure our common area is tidy. I think this is normal, but he sees it as a lack of investment on my part. For the record, no, he doesn't do more of the housework than me other than vacuuming the house 1 to 2 times a day. But dishes, bathrooms, everything else we split. I do most of the cooking, too. He basically told me that he doesn't regret not having had a job for the past 2 years because we were able to spend a lot of time together, and that I'm ungrateful for not seeing the things he does for me, like make me the occasional breakfast or coffee during work. I am grateful for these moments, but in my opinion, now is when we should be working to build a life together, which involves financial contribution from both parties. I honestly would have preferred less time together the past 2 years if it meant we could talk about marriage, buying a house, having kids in a realistic way now. Given that I'm supporting myself on about $60,000 a year and he isn't contributing anything else scares me. He said he never wants to be the person that work takes them away from their family or who prioritizes work over their family. He's raised the concern that if we had kids, I'd be distracted by my job. I had working parents growing up and it just makes sense to me that I'd be able to have both without being villainized. His belittlement of my job is hurtful because he knows it's my dream job in a super competitive field, so I care about it, but I also do prioritize our home the rest of the time. I feel like he doesn't understand since he's never had a normal job. He's been working on creating an app that he says can bring us a lot of money in the future, and he's upset that I'm not being super supportive of it. Honestly, I am supportive and am happy he's so invested in this project, but I wanted him to find a steadier source of income first. Is this just a difference in values that we can work through, or does it sound like a deal breaker? Edit to add, I forgot an important detail. He said he had to work on his mental health for the past few years, which is why he didn't seek a job sooner as well. This made me feel bad because I am empathetic to his mental health struggles, but he never shared this with me, so from my POV it looks like a lack of care or effort. Update: I'm moving out. I got approved for an apartment this weekend and am excited to have the space to gain my own perspective and clarity. We're staying together for now and we'll see how it goes when I move out. I think he's seeing it as an opportunity for me to regret moving out and come back to him, but I want it to be an opportunity for him to get his life together and build a life with me. I'm aware it's unlikely things work out how I'm hoping, but I think whether we break up or stay together, moving out is my best next step. Thank you to everyone who gave advice and validated how I was feeling. It's a weird situation, and after a lot of therapy and thinking, I'm okay with the fact that I don't have to keep playing a game with rules I don't understand. Edit to add that we'd only lived in the house for about a year when I found out about the rent. We haven't lived here together the whole 5 years of the relationship. Stories number 7. My firefighter uncle had his food stolen, so he took it upon himself to let them eat shit. Not my story, but one my uncle told us at a family barbecue years ago, and it has lived rent-free in my head ever since. My uncle was a firefighter, working long shifts. I was young at the time, so I don't recall the exact hours, but what I do remember is that the man could cook. Thai, Indian, Mexican, always something packed with flavor. And his desserts were simple but so good. His rice pudding in particular was legendary. Being smart, he meal prepped and kept everything labeled in the station fridge. But his desserts kept going missing, especially the rice pudding. No note, no apology, just gone. Eventually, he'd had enough. He left a polite warning on the fridge. To whoever keeps eating my food, stop. There will be consequences. Of course, someone ate it again, so he made another batch, but this one was special. Still rice pudding, still cinnamon on top, but this time, he added one secret ingredient: dried, white dog SHT. He lived on a 5-acre property and went into the backyard to collect some, not hard with them having 6 dogs at the time. He crushed it up with a spoon, stirred it through the pudding, and topped it off like normal. Then he took Polaroid photos of the entire process. He left the dessert in the fridge at work. And, what he assumed would happen, happened. The next day, he casually laid out the Polaroids across the station kitchen table. His meals and desserts were never touched again. Now, this happened back in the 80s, so I have no idea if he got into trouble or if the other guy complained. But I think, looking at my memory of my uncle, he was like a manly man, and I'm sure his co-workers would have been the same. Not likely to dog themselves in for piss-poor behavior and admitting to eating dog shit. Comments. Commenter 1. It's not like the guy with the shit-eating grin is going to out himself. Commenter 2. My husband is a paramedic. One guy kept stealing people's food and they knew who it was. Let's call him Joe. Joe would say things like, I thought you didn't want it. I thought you left. I didn't know that was yours. My husband had been the victim many times of Joe stealing his food. One day, another paramedic was eating this hoagie and he only wanted half. He asked, does anyone want the other half of this hoagie? Joe pipes up. Yeah, I'll eat it. So the paramedic hands it to Joe. My husband reaches over and slaps the hoagie out of his hand and it goes all over the floor. Joe looks up at him like, WTF. My husband said, how does it feel to think you're going to have dinner and someone took it away? The entire room howled with laughter. And Joe never took another meal. Hoagie is the original and best kind of sub for all you non-Philadelphia area folks. LOL. Commenter 3. White dog shit is a medieval remedy for plague, indigestion, tuberculosis, everything. They called it album Greekum. So technically, that pudding is health food. Reply. Okay. I'm more thankful that I live in the now and not then. Stories number 8. Saw my first love, 30 years later. Dated a guy seriously in college. First love, broke my heart just before graduation. We broke up on the phone and never talked again. Over the years I heard he married the girl he cheated on me with. Heard they got divorced. Heard he cheated on her too. Another marriage, another divorce. Heard he regretted how he treated me. I had moved 1,500 miles away, took years to get over him, but then met a better guy, had a career and family. Was at a reunion with college friends and was told he was in the next room, so went in to say hello. We talked for an hour. It was strange, hard, surprising that there were still feelings of some sort so many years later. He said he wished he would have married me, though he loves his kids and wouldn't change that. I said, then I would be the divorced ex. At some point I would have left for the cheating. Ended by telling him he broke me then, but that I was good now. Happy. Talked a few times after that. It was very emotional, wondering the what-ifs, but also acknowledging what I have and how I'd never want to destroy that. Told me I was the only one who ever loved him unconditionally. Sent him a photo I found while cleaning out my attic of him and his buddies from a drunken birthday party long ago. Putting the photo back, I looked at others in the album. I was obviously so in love with him, but for the first time, recognized that I didn't see the same look in his eyes. Only mine. I now understand that he's nostalgic about how much I loved him, not about how much he loved me. For me, this story has reached the end. Comments. Commenter 1. Time brought you a huge dose of clarity, bittersweet, OP, and wonderfully told. Commenter 2. That last line hit like a truth I didn't know I needed. Sometimes they miss the way we loved them, not us. You choosing peace over nostalgia is the real love story here. What a beautiful, quiet kind of closure. Commenter 3. Interesting that it's usually the unhappy ones that always regret their choices. I have never encountered someone in a happy marriage and successful life ever fawning over an ex from 10 plus years ago. Edit. By this I mean they usually convince themselves that if they had only did this one thing way back then their life would be totally different, ergo they are hung up on one moment or person in time instead of recognizing that the only thing that can or will ever make them happy is for them to change as people. Because it is never their fault, it's somehow the world's fault or other people's choices. Reply. It was more that closure. I'm lucky that I'm happy and that the past is truly closed. Stories number 9. Aita for not caring about my wife getting STDs. I 27M married my wife 29F for 4 years, together 8 years, and we have a son together. So for context, around 6 or 7 months ago, I struggle with some mental and medical problems that make my libido down to the point we had dead bedroom for 4 months. About 2 months ago, my wife asked me to open our marriage because she is frustrated and disappointed in our bed life. She also started acting cold around me before that. At that point I were very stressed, anxious, so I easy agreed to save our marriage, and we had some agreement. So she seemed like come back to normal and I feel relieved. Week ago, she suddenly wants sex with me again, and I slightly rejected because I still trying to improve my mental health. She broke out and we had arguments, which she leave the house and stay with her sister. After 2 days my son started to ask about his mom. I feel awful because I have to lie to him. She didn't answer my call or text, so I tried contact her sister but no answer too. In the 3rd day suddenly my sil contact me. When I pick up she yelled at me, call me all the names and say I'm the for letting my wife deal with STDs alone. I was frozen and said what? She said she found out medicines and medical records of my wife and hang up. I'm now feeling like a mess and heartbreaking. After 3 days of thinking, it's not just made me feel like she betrayed our agreement about it, but it make me scared that does she try to make me get STDs too? I'm feel like our marriage is over but our son is still very young. I don't know what to do now. Please give me some advice. Update, I did the test, I'm healthy. My doctor still recommends a few more tests next week just to be sure. Relevant comments. Commenter 1. I'm sorry OP, but there are so many red flags and none of those are coming from you. While you have mental and medical problems and try to deal with them, your wife decides to open your marriage and go sleep around, instead of helping you get better and work on your marriage. Her sexual frustration is more important to her than your own health. That should have been your first and last clue that she is an awful person. Your wife asks you to have sex, but your mental health hasn't been improving and you deny it, within good reasons in my opinion. She lashes out at you and leave you and the kids. She doesn't call any of you for 2 days. I mean, your freaking son doesn't understand where his mom is and she just doesn't care at all. She found out she had an STD and is probably the real reason she left to her sister's house. To me, this is the apogee of disrespect. Not only she probably didn't take enough protections and clearly didn't care while sleeping with other men, but she tried to have sex with you knowing there was a possibility she had a STD. You are here trying to figure out if you are an AH for not being concerned about something you didn't know anything about. Seriously? OP, you need to open your eyes, not just your marriage. NTA. Commenter 2. I wouldn't hold it past her trying to give it to him and running away when that didn't work. Her acting like normal was an act. Commenter 3. I thought the same. I even thought of the possibility of her knowing fully she had an STD while trying to have sex with OP so she could accuse him of passing it to her afterwards. Exactly like her sister did. Something is clearly wrong either way. Commenter 4. NTA, please go get tested for STDs. Talk to a lawyer, your wife deserted you and your child. Reply, thanks you. I think I will take a day off to get tested first. Commenter 5. So you willingly opened your marriage? Or was it forced on you? Open marriage rarely works, you should have known better. Didn't you two even talk about STDs or pregnancy? Have any kind of plan, Esh? The whole situation is a mess and did she really try to give you an STD? That can be criminal in some places. Reply, I don't know, I don't feel uncomfortable with her sleep around as long as we communicate about it but I do feel it go too fast and I should more skeptical about it. We have agreement that she need to make sure her partner clean and always use condom and she insisted that I can trust her. She did say that if she get pregnant she would get abortion immediately. Commenter 6. We have agreement that she need to make sure her partner clean. She lied here. Always use condom and she insisted that I can trust her. She did say that if she get pregnant she would get abortion immediately. So you'd have to be a damn idiot to trust this. Time to talk to a lawyer. Reply, yeah. I do feel like an idiot and you are right. I always trust her because I loved her but after this I don't even know what I feel right now. I will think about a divorce after getting test myself first. Thank you for your advice. My wife 29F just admitted she cheating on me 27M and getting gonorrhea. Aita if I wanted to leave. For sum up, 6 months ago I had some mental and medical problems that prevented me from having sex with her. She convinced me to get into an open marriage and she had it for 2 months, until 2 weeks ago, she suddenly wanted to be intimate again and when I refused, she got angry and left. I couldn't contact her for a whole week until her sister called accusing me of having an affair and giving her STDs. I immediately went to the doctor and it was confirmed that I didn't have it. I tried to contact her sister again but I was blocked by all her family. 2 days ago she drove home the first time to visit our son toddler whom she had abandoned with me for more than a week. We sat down and talked. She admitted that she had known this person for 3 weeks before I agreed to open the relationship. I asked about STDs that her sister told me about and her face turned pale. I had to urge her a few times until she admitted that she has gonorrhea and that the other partner had lied to her about his medical condition and protection methods, and he already cut off contact with her. I asked her if she knew and that she wanted to infect me that day. She was silent for a few minutes until she burst into tears and begged me to forgive her and that it was just a foolish thought in a panic and fear. I lost my temper and yelled at her and kicked her out of the house. I said we were done. I'm feeling so many emotions, heartbreak or angry. I don't know what I feel anymore but it's so painful. I was with her for 8 years and I thought we would be together forever. My in-laws and our mutual friends all sent me a bund of messages telling me to forgive her and that she knew she was wrong and had already gotten the karma. I should think about my son and how difficult it would be if I wanted to get custody of him, and they were right. I no longer had contact with relatives or anyone I could rely on, so I feel very hopeless. What should I do? Can I forgive her after all this to start again? Edit. Sorry for some detail I did not clarify. In my old post I make it when I didn't remember full detail about what my sil cussed me because I was shocked about my wife got STDs. I did bring that to my wife in the conversation and she admitted she did lie to her family that I cheated on her. Relevant comments. Commenter 1. In my opinion no, don't take her back. She tried to intentionally infect you as well and probably lied to people why she left, and the fact you in-laws blocked you during that time but unblocked you to say stay with her is terrible. They weren't thinking about you or the baby, they were thinking about her and how she can save her marriage time to get a lawyer. This isn't something you can come back from. Commenter 2. My guess, she tried to infect him so when he found out she could claim he's the one that gave it to her. Commenter 3. This is what I think too. Didn't her family already yell at him for giving her STDs? Which means she told her family she got it from him. Or at least didn't correct their assumption, because she didn't want to admit that she was an idiot who didn't use proper action and boned some guy she barely knew and obviously couldn't trust. She got had and didn't want to have to own up to it. Reply. Her sister did text me with an apology but that it. The other, they will just test something like I know you are very hurt right now but your son need his mom and she is very remorse now. Please give her a chance to make it right. I didn't answer any of that, it made me feel anger every time I looked at it. Updated. Wife 29F just admitted she cheating on me 27M and getting gonorrhea. Aita if I wanted to leave. So first of all, thank for anyone who give me a good advice and kind words. I'm very appreciated for the support. Now to my updated. Me and my wife are separating now. I'm currently hire a part-time nanny to take care of my son while I'm at work. Even thought I already cut back my work hours. Did find a lawyer to advise me about divorce procedure, what I would lose after the divorce. He also said I needed to collect more evidence that my wife really wanted to infect me though. I think it quite hard because she doesn't want to talk about it anymore. The charges we made such as abandonment or adultery seem like not work either. My wife is started visit our son 4 times a week now. She now act like a good mother and beg me to do couple therapy. Her treatment is complete. She said that she had closed the marriage from her side and willingly set the post up how I want if I give her a chance. Her family is still texting about how her days are miserable without me and our child. I kind of ignore them. I'd not block them in case of thing breakdown. I still have a record. That is my updated. I'm still getting used to the lifestyle of just me and my child. I have agreed marriage counseling with her this Saturday. Thought I don't think it will change anything those. Stories number 10. Entitled Future Mother-in-Law Demands Free Salon Service Because I'm Marrying Her Son. I 28F have been dating my boyfriend Patrick 30M for 2 years. We both know each other's families, but we chose not to make our relationship public until we were ready to get married. Well, last month we finally made it official and informed his family that we are getting married. While we were with his family, his mom asked me about my livelihood. I told her I'm a hairstylist and that I own a salon about an hour from their house. Her response: oh wow, at least now we don't have to pay to get our hair done again. We'll start with ours first so we can see how good you are before you officially become my daughter-in-law. I just smiled and didn't say anything. Fast forward 3 days later, she calls me. After the usual small talk, she says, please, where's your salon located again? I gave her the address, and she goes, oh, that's far. I can't come all the way there. I'll need you to come today to braid my hair. So I asked what style she wanted and told her the price for home service. Her response: no, I'm not paying for it. After all, you'll soon be my daughter-in-law. I politely told her I don't offer free home service, especially not for an hour-long trip, and then I hung up the call. Comments. Commenter 1. Wow, the nerve of her. Your fiancé needs to deal with his family. Reply. I told my fiancé about the call conversation. He apologized and said he will talk to her about it. Commenter 2. My sister-in-law offers to do my hair for free. I thank her with a gift card that just happened to be the same as her service fee plus tip, and later babysitting her kids for free every day after school so she can work. That's how family works. Commenter 3. Your fiancé has to set expectations with his mom. This is a deal breaker. Commenter 4. It's so sad that she does not demand ton pay double, instead, to support you and by extension her son. Stories number 11. I 34/F turned to my husband 34/M for support after some bad news. He pointed out a blemish on my face in response. Is this a big enough straw to break the camel's back? We have been through a lot together. We met in college nearly 15 years ago, were long distance for a little while after graduation, then we moved overseas together and back again. We now own a house, have some pets, are both gainfully employed, and have a wonderful time together. We're great together when times are good. We've been married for 7 years. The problem is that he is a really awful communicator while I am very open with how I'm feeling. I wear my heart on my sleeve, while he could keep what he's feeling inside indefinitely. This has always been hard to reconcile, but our problems really started about 2 years ago when we started talking about the subject of having children. I had serious doubts about my capacity for motherhood, but he wanted to be a father. When I would talk to him about my reservations or fears, he would usually just shut down and say let's not have kids, then. He would never be on board for a deep discussion. I decided my fears weren't enough to be a deal breaker, so we went ahead and started trying. We have had 3 miscarriages since then. The stress of first trying to conceive and then losing our pregnancies was immense. I turned to him countless times for support, and countless times I came away feeling like he was going through the motions, but there was nothing real behind them. I know it can be hard for some to grasp the pain of losing a pregnancy, but as my partner I feel there was a serious lack of genuine sympathy when I was struggling and in pain. He would hug me, hold me, do everything that would make it look like he was by my side in this, but never seemed to really listen when I talked about it or converse about it with any depth. This year has been hard for me. It started out promising. I was pregnant again and I was up for a promotion at work. I lost the pregnancy in the middle of January, and even though all signs pointed to the promotion working out, the position was eliminated after I had gone through 3 rounds of interviews to get it. I found out the position was eliminated officially yesterday. When he got home from work, I asked him for a hug. Instead, he started examining the skin around my mouth. He said, "Do you have mouth herpes or something?" I have been breaking out in that area since the last miscarriage. It's a hormonal trouble spot for acne for me, and no matter what I do, nothing stops it right after a miscarriage. My hormones are just out of whack for a couple of months. So not only was I turned down for comfort after a long couple of months trying to get this promotion and finding out it wasn't going to happen, but he pointed out a flaw on my face that happens to be a lasting side effect of another devastating loss. At first I was angry, demanded an apology, and gave him the cold shoulder after he gave me an insincere one. Then I let go of the anger and just felt so sad. Just incredibly, hopelessly sad. I cried all night long. He finally came to me and said he was sorry in a sincere way, and we hugged for a long time. But I couldn't talk to him. I just couldn't put myself in the position of telling him what I was going through and not really knowing he was there for me. After he left for work this morning, he called me and said he realizes that he needs to work on his communication and he's going to try harder. He also said he wants to take a trip for our 15-year dating anniversary later this year, something I have been talking about for almost a year now, but that he never seemed interested in until now. I am left feeling like this is all just too little, too late. I suggested marriage counseling about a year ago when I felt a major disconnect between us after our first 2 losses. He said he would go, but I never followed up and looked for a counselor. Now I feel like maybe it's just too late. I feel like my trust in him is shattered. Is this something we can fix in counseling? Will his communication ever improve? Can I get over these feelings of bitterness? TLDR, husband of 7 years and I don't communicate well despite my efforts. He broke my trust and is crawling back. Can his communication really actually improve, or is this just what he's like? Relevant comments. I called him and told him about the promotion not working out earlier in the day before he came home. He also knows that my hormones are causing my blemishes. I don't know why he chose to be so callous while knowing all this information. I'm not usually sensitive about remarks like that, but I think under the circumstances it was unfair. Downvoted commenter. I'm not sure he really chose to be so callous. Maybe you disagree, but a lot of times, if I am very stressed out about work or whatever and I know my wife is stressed out about her job or family or whatever, then I subconsciously realize that I'm not mentally prepared to truly listen and lend a sympathetic ear and find myself avoiding or squirming out of serious conversations. I've tried to get better and to simply tell her when I don't have the emotional energy to be her support at the moment, but sometimes I find myself simply shutting down and changing the subject. I think you are upset because he wasn't there to give you what you needed, but I think you may be overlooking how emotionally exhausting it can be to be a constant life raft for a partner, especially if you have both been going through some rough times career-wise, family-wise, etc. My point isn't to try to make excuses for him. I'm just explaining that if I put myself in his shoes here, I can see making some comment like that as sort of a knee-jerk defense mechanism if I wasn't in a mental state capable of empathy. I don't think he was being intentionally callous. I think he was just not able to provide any empathy at the moment and did a poor job of communicating that. I think questioning your marriage over this is pretty rash. Reply. After my first loss, he scoffed when I suggested a vacation around the time of the due date to ease the pain, and told me I shouldn't turn it into a morbid anniversary. This was about a week after the loss. When I told him I needed to distance myself from my pregnant friend after she showed me no support, he told me I should be there for her and told me to put myself in her shoes. For some reason he denied the second loss was even a real pregnancy for months. It took reminding him of the tests we took together and that I actually passed the tissue to get him to finally stop denying it, although I don't feel he's ever genuinely accepted it. Do these fit into what you're describing as well? Update. Thank you so much to everyone who commented on my original post earlier this year. We got into counseling not too long after that post and have been continuing every week ever since. We just had a session yesterday. Our counselor is wonderful, she really understands the situation and has identified the struggle my husband faces when confronted with an uncomfortable topic, like our losses, stress at work, the decision to have children or not, and more. We have spent quite a long time discussing my husband's upbringing. His family isn't really big on communicating, and there are many problems that he and his siblings have had over the years and continue to this day that were never addressed and never resolved. In session he talked about how he felt his emotional needs were never really met growing up, but that he didn't realize it until now. It made me really sad for him. We had his parents over a few weeks ago and as usual, the conversation remained really superficial and never delved into anything very substantial. I have tried to share with them about our life and our losses before, but there's never been any sign of interest from them in connecting with us in that way, even though his mother is one of the only people I know in my life who has suffered a loss as well. We spent the next week's session processing their visit, and unfortunately my husband felt a lot of anger and frustration that he wasn't able to talk to them about the important stuff. However, in our relationship things have completely transformed. We argue so much less, and he is completely present and there for me when I need his support. The topic of having children has come back up, and we are still figuring that out, but we can really talk about it and be open and honest with each other without fear and with respect and open arms for each other. He has repeatedly said that he's really happy we got into therapy and that he feels great about the state of our relationship. I'm almost happy we've gone through such hard times so that we were able to hit rock bottom and get to this wonderful place. So, thank you to everyone for your kindness and generosity in following our journey. TLDR, poor communicator husband and I started therapy and now our relationship has completely transformed. Thank you to everyone. Final comments. Commenter 1. I remember your post and I was one of the commenters who didn't think your husband could change. I am really glad to hear he has taken the steps to improve your relationship. Keep on at it. He seemed so cold that it's a great surprise he's done such a turnaround. It sounds like he really does love you a lot. You also sound so much happier yourself. Reply. In that post I glossed over his positive attributes to best convey my frustration at the situation, so he comes off as a cold, uncaring jerk. That's not who he is at heart, but how could you know that based on my short anecdote? And selfishly, it was validating to hear others agree with me that enough was enough. I still thank you for reading and giving your input. Commenter 2. My husband's family is very similar to your husband's, and yes, my husband and his siblings all have issues. They bottle things up and then explode. They take things far too seriously and are very hard on themselves. Meanwhile, they are unable to acknowledge when others are experiencing sadness or pain and instead see it as a competition. For example, I told them that my mother was seriously ill with cancer. His mother then launched into a monologue about her aches and pains, and his siblings said nothing at all. One of his siblings can't even say happy birthday or Merry Christmas. He says it's your birthday and it's Christmas and you're here. When they do talk, it is about stuff like wine, music, characters in a book. They don't ever talk about how they are feeling, acknowledge anything bad that has happened, what's going on in their lives, nothing beyond a conversation that you could easily have with a stranger. One of them only shows how he is feeling with rants on Facebook, which comes across as him having a pity party, and when people reply and comment he angrily rants at them. I don't ask for your sympathy. I am quite alright. Then he'll have another rant on Facebook about people not minding their own business about his life. When my husband told his mother over the phone that we have been confirmed as infertile, without skipping a beat she launched into talking about his sister's choir music. He was very angry and hurt, especially because my parents' reaction was to cry for us and tell us how sorry they are. And that was the tipping point where he acknowledged that his parents don't communicate like they should. Prior to that he always said that I had an abnormally close relationship with my parents because we talk every few days on the phone. He rarely talks with his family on the phone, not even for birthdays. My husband has been to counseling and we also talk at length about how to express ourselves and how to acknowledge others. He's getting there. When I compare to how he is now to how he was back then, he is 100 times better and much happier. I actually do think that what saved him is that growing up he was the only one of the siblings that had a large group of friends and was heavily involved in team sports, so he did develop some type of social skills. The rest were daydreaming with their nose in a book or off in La La Land playing musical instruments. Reply: wow, that's really fascinating. What you said about the conversations being like what you would talk to a stranger about is definitely my in-laws. They don't even discuss politics with each other. We are really close with my family and perhaps we are a bit extreme on the other end of the spectrum in terms of prying and sharing, but at least I know I can confide in them and they will always support us in whatever way we need them to. Our main concern now is that one of his siblings really needs help and no one is acknowledging it. We believe it will become our problem to deal with one day, but no one will discuss it, so who knows. Stories number 12. Aita for not letting my ex-husband and one of his future step-kids come inside. Our custody arrangement is for each of us to pick the kids up on our day during our 2-hour pickup window. He arrived at the house, and I already had the boys ready. I saw his car pull into the driveway on my camera, so the boys were already halfway to the door when my ex knocks. I open the door, and he is holding the hand of a 4-year-old. He asks to come in and says his fiance's son needs to use the bathroom. I told him I don't want him to come inside, because I don't feel comfortable with him in my house. He has a history of snooping through my things. He asked me to take his future stepson to the bathroom, and I said I was uncomfortable with the situation. He said his stepson needed to pee. I suggested the McDonald's up the road. He said my bathroom would be way cleaner than a McDonald's. At this point my 11-year-old started pestering his dad to stop so they could leave. My ex said your brother needs to use the bathroom. My son said I'll take him. My ex said no, your mother would rather he pee his pants. We'll go, and hopefully we'll get to the McDonald's in time. My ex and the boys left. He messaged me afterwards saying I was cruel to a child to punish him and that's not okay. He said I made us both look bad in front of our kids and should be embarrassed of my actions. I have been fighting with him for so long my perspective is screwed up. Was I in the wrong? Update: Aita for not letting my ex-husband and one of his future step-kids come inside. I did talk to my lawyer about what happened. He said we can address it at the hearing we already have scheduled about the movie situation. I thought that was that, but of course it was my turn to pick up the kids today. When I arrived at my ex's place he opened the door very wide and invited me in. I was suspicious and said no thank you. He kept insisting I come in so we can show the kids we are civil, but I had a bad feeling. I said I would just wait in the car for the boys to come out. I got in my car and texted my older son that I was there. A short while later he texted me back saying his dad said they couldn't leave unless I got them. I went back to the door and knocked again. Again, my ex invited me inside. I said I didn't want to come in, and that was when my boys showed up. My ex's fiancé was right behind them, telling them to come back upstairs. They ran to me, and we left. I don't know what his game is, but I'm not falling for it, whatever it is. Comments. Commenter 1. NTA. He was way too insistent for you to come in and then refusing to let your kids leave. No. Always follow your gut, especially when the spider is so persistent in inviting the fly into the parlor. Commenter 2. I truly cannot emphasize this more, document like crazy. If this was gonna turn into them just yelling you for some made up BS or something else, but regardless you need to let your lawyer know. Good luck, cause things with this psychopath are not gonna get better soon. Commenter 3. Make a note and send it to lawyer, basically kidnapping your kids. All meetings are now at a public location, so don't pick McDonald's or a place where the kids will want and expect junk food. No more pickups at house, and don't even get out of your car. Commenter 4. I don't know if it's because I watch a little too much true crime and have become paranoid, but I get the feeling it was a little suspicious too, and from now on I would meet up in a public place to collect the kids. Stories number 13. AIO for completely cutting off my husband and my best friend after finding out they were having an affair while I was home raising our 3 kids. I 34F have been married to my husband 36M for 10 years. We have 3 children together, ages 7, 4, and 18 months. I'm a full-time mom. That wasn't always the plan, but daycare was too expensive and he said it made more sense for me to stay home while they're little. So I gave up my career, my income, my independence, gladly, I thought, for the sake of our family. My best friend, let's call her S, has been in my life since high school. We've been through everything together, heartbreaks, college, my wedding. She was there when my mom died. She was the kind of friend who was always at the hospital when I had my kids, holding my hand, cutting their birthday cakes, holding them in pictures. She knows my life. She's godmother to all 3 of our kids. She also runs her own business. She doesn't have kids. She travels a lot, eats clean, works out, and yeah, she's beautiful. Model tier. I never felt threatened by her because I thought, she's family. Until I found the messages on his phone. One night, he left it unlocked on the nightstand while he showered after work. I wasn't snooping. I was just tired of feeling crazy. I opened his texts and saw her name. The things they said. I can't even repeat, but one line is burned into my head. She let herself go after the 3rd baby. You're so fucking hot. You actually look like a woman. She still looks like a woman, as if my stretch marks, my leaking breasts, my C-section scar, the bags under my eyes, all the things I earned raising his children, make me less of one. I confronted them both. He didn't deny it. Said it had been going on for a few months. Said he was sorry, but what do you expect? S takes care of herself. You don't anymore. What do I expect? I expected loyalty. I expected the man who vowed in sickness and in health to love me through the sacrifices, not punish me for them. I expected my best friend to love my children like her own, not sneak around with their father behind my back. I threw him out. I blocked S on everything. She had the nerve to send me a message saying, I never meant for it to happen. I didn't want to hurt you. You didn't mean for it to happen. You're in my fucking wedding photos. I told my sister. She says I'm being too harsh. That I should consider couples therapy. That people make mistakes. Her husband just said, that's what men do. Even my brothers are saying I'm over the top on this, that guys are going to have other women. Is this just how it is? Am I supposed to just accept this? I posted on Facebook about it too, and other friends of mine are saying they've seen him out with other women, not just S. Why the fuck didn't they say anything before? Is everyone against me? Is this normal? Comments. Commenter 1. Is true? Your sister really thinks you should forgive him? Fuck her and fuck them. Men do actually have control over their actions. Nor burn your marriage to the ground. Commenter 2. Has husband even tried to get you back? Also, are he and friends still together? Reply. He hasn't texted even once. I don't know if they're still seeing each other. Commenter 3. This is so dumb, I can't believe it's a question. Reply. I just really needed to get this off of my chest. Commenter 4. Dude here. If this is true, burn the marriage down. He cheated, and has the gall to scorn a mother. Block your ex-friend too. It's now 50-50. Take his money. Build your new life and find a better person. Now he has to sacrifice his career to look after the kids during his time, and you get to pursue your dreams. Be harsh, be callous, they mean nothing to you, and stick to your plan. Stories number 14. Aita for agreeing to privately put an engagement ring on my sister because I helped buy it. I 26M have been married for 2 years, together with my wife for 5. My sister 24F recently got engaged to her long-term boyfriend, and I was genuinely happy for her. A few days after the proposal, she confided in me that while she loved her fiancé and knew money was tight for both of them, she was a little disappointed that the engagement ring only cost $70. She didn't know how to bring it up to him without sounding ungrateful. Eventually, she, her fiancée, my wife, and I sat down together, and I offered to lend them some money to upgrade the ring. They accepted, bought a new one, and even did a redo of the proposal celebration. My sister was over the moon with it, and her fiancé was also grateful. My wife had no problem with me lending the money to my sister, she totally supported it. However, last week, my sister called me late at night and said she had a kind of weird request. She asked if I could be the one to put the ring on her finger in a private setting, nothing elaborate, just something symbolic. Her reasoning was that since I technically helped buy the ring, she wanted that moment to be a representation of our close sibling bond. She also mentioned wanting to take some pictures of the moment. I'll admit I found the request odd, but my sister has always been a bit unconventional and sentimental in her own way. I brought it up with my wife, thinking she'd just find it quirky too, but she was shocked and upset. She said it was a highly inappropriate and intimate gesture that crossed a line. She especially took issue with the idea of it being just the two of us in a private setting, with pictures taken. She told me that it wasn't about the money anymore, the symbolism felt off to her, and she couldn't understand why my sister would even think to ask me something like that. I told my wife that this is just how my sister is, and it wasn't meant to be romantic or strange, just meaningful in her own way. But my wife doubled down and said it was crossing boundaries and made her extremely uncomfortable. I was really surprised that my wife was uncomfortable with it, but I also don't want to hurt my sister's feelings. She was legit crying on the call when she spoke to me about her request. Aita for wanting to go through with the request even though it would make my wife uncomfortable. Comments. Commenter 1. Your wife is correct. That is bizarre. Commenter 2. Whitey, that's weird. The person she will be marrying should be the person to put on her finger. If you're marrying your sister, go for it. Otherwise, tell her no. Your wife should be the only person you put a ring on. Commenter 3. YTA, the ring is a symbol of her fiancé's love for her, it's not a symbol of you and your wife lending the money to buy it. What she's asking crosses a line that diminishes the relevance of her partner and elevates you to his equal, which you aren't. It's weird and I can understand why your wife is freaked out about it. Commenter 4. This is weird on so many levels. Not acceptable behavior. Stories number 15. My GFF29 hasn't come home after my brother attempted a prank trilogy on us. Content warning, suicide/self-harm. I accidentally posted this to the wrong subreddit and when I got back from running my errands it was locked and they told me to post here because there seems to be no way to fix things and thus it's not for advice. That hurt but okay. I still hope to fix things but anyway here it is. But a quick note now that I can edit. I'm not in a good place and sadly some people on here are just plain mean. I just, in my fumbling fucking anger, figured out how to block. So, there's that. I don't care if you think this is fake. I can't talk about this right now to any people close to me. Trust me, I'm not proud. I am in a place where I need to vent on Reddit. I generally scroll along silently but here I am. TLDR, my idiot brother threw a nuclear bomb in my relationship by arranging pranks to make it look I am a cheater. She is pregnant. Moved out. And I am stuck in limbo. I know I'm a jerk. Sorry for the length of the post, I'm just so many things and none of them are calm. Here's the more detailed post of what happened but it's just gotten worse. Quick summary if you don't want to read the full post. I am 31, have a girlfriend, F29, and we recently found out she's pregnant. It was a shock to say the least. I mean, we'd both been adamant we weren't having kids but after a lot of talks, fear, and love, we decided to move forward together. I thought we were solid. Until my little brother Dean 24 decided to prank us. While I was passed out drunk at his birthday at her dad's, Dean took my phone and texted send this dumb text like, hey, I know this is weird but I want to request a paternity test for the baby as soon as it is safe. It's non-negotiable. Then he turned off my phone and left me clueless while she panicked. By the time I got home, she was gone, and staying with her mom in another city. She told me she needed space. She's scared. She's dealing with pregnancy complications. She's about 10 weeks now and the OB called it a threatened miscarriage. She told me she needs peace and can't trust me. I told her I didn't send that message. I begged her to believe me. But then, a week after the fallout, I found out there was a second part of the prank that I hadn't even known about when I made the original post. Dean had enlisted one of his work pals, Melissa, to message Sen and stir the pot as part of a prank trilogy, his words. So on the same day Sen received what looked like me accusing her of cheating, she also got a message from a woman saying, hey girl, I didn't know you and Jimmy were together. I thought he was single. I never meant to come between anything. We kissed at the party and he was really flirty. I'm sorry, I had no idea. I didn't kiss anyone. I didn't flirt with anyone. I was barely conscious that night, but I love Sen and swear on my life I'm not flirting at my kid brother's birthday party, and definitely not kissing randoms at my dad's house. Melissa wasn't even at the party far as I know. But she was in on the joke and sent the message early before Dean could stop her. Because by the time he realized how badly prank number 1 had gone, it was too late. From Sen's perspective, all in one morning I text her a cold, awful demand for a paternity test and then her phone blows up with a woman claiming I cheated on her while she's carrying my fucking child. I mean. Of course she left. Of course she's wrecked. Of course she thinks I'm lying. The hell else was she going to think? Dean confessed everything after I confronted him again. Said he thought it'd be so ridiculous it would be obvious it was fake. He wanted her to laugh. Said he thought it'd be a story to tell the baby one day. When she's older. But when he saw her pack up and me fall apart, he panicked and just froze. He's since spiraled. Drinking constantly, crying at every little thing, on meds now after our sister took him to the doctor. He's been texting me apologies. He even texted Sen the full story, including Melissa's part in it. Sen still won't come home. She's texting me occasionally but it's very off-puttingly cold. She's just being curt and to the point about things. I know her, she gets mechanical and logical when she's overwhelmed. This is her beyond overwhelmed. She got the paternity test done despite my objections. I told her over and over again she didn't need to. That I never doubted her. But she just said, no. I'll do one. And scheduled it. I offered to move out so she could have our home. She told me no. I need my mom right now. I'm about to be one myself. Her sister thinks I put Dean up to taking the blame and now he covering for me. I can't even be mad about that. The whole thing is just so stupid and hurtful and out of nowhere that I wouldn't believe me either. So now I'm sitting in our house alone. Every day I wake up feeling sick. I'm scared we'll lose the baby. I'm scared I've lost Sen and I'm angry. I'm more than angry. I can't remember being more angry in my entire life. I haven't talked to Dean since I found out about the Melissa text. I haven't yelled. I haven't cussed. I haven't said anything. Because if I let out what I'm feeling, I don't know what will come out. My whole life may have been destroyed because my brother wanted a fucking laugh. Because he thought it'd be funny. Because he didn't think, he's hurting. I know that. He's not well right now. But I don't care. Not yet. Sorry this is long ANF I'm rambling I just am so pissed. I guess I'm just looking for advice. I can't see straight anymore and I can't be calm or rational. Because honestly, all I want is to go back in time and never leave my phone on the damn nightstand. Or not have gone to the party. Or just plain kept my phone locked. Comments. Commenter 1. I honestly hope you're cutting your brother out of your life after this. I don't believe this was about getting a laugh out of anyone. This can't be anything but malicious intent. Is your brother jealous of you or your relationship? I'm positive his goal was to ruin your relationship. Commenter 2. Honestly your brother deserves to feel like shit right now. If that was my brother I would never speak a single word to him again. Commenter 3. He's hurt. Who gives a fuck about what condition your brother is in? Commenter 4. Your brother is lower than scum and I hope he has learned from this freaking idiocy. WTH thinks it's hilarious to tell a pregnant woman that she is untrustworthy. He deserves every bit of suffering. And he enlisted help. God, I hope he never reproduces. I am sorry for you. You need to talk to someone who can give you coping skills. You might have lost Senator I am sorry, I hope not, but those texts destroyed how she saw you. Her family is helping her cope with the betrayal and they are not you fans. Stories number 16. I've M36 become a grandfather and a father at the same time and I'm losing my marriage F30. Major help. When I was 20, I was in a very toxic relationship. She got pregnant, we moved in together, and it was horrible. It all ended when she told me my daughter wasn't mine, and I was relieved at the time. I was 20. I left. I went on with my life, I went to college, got married, and built my life. 7 months ago, a teenage girl contacted me claiming I was her father. I explained to her how she was misunderstood, but she insisted. So we took a paternity test, and she's mine. The baby that I walked off on nearly 2 decades ago is mine and I missed all of those years. Not only that, but she was pregnant, just like her mother was at her age. Her mom kicked her out, and she found me after that. She moved in with us 5 months ago, and my grandson is now almost 3 months old. It was essentially like I'd become a father and grandfather overnight. It hasn't been smooth sailing. My wife has been supportive, but it's taken a major toll on our relationship. We went from a quiet home to sleepless nights and emotional tension. We never planned for this, and I can tell that my wife is becoming resentful even though she denies it. She doesn't want to talk about it. I need to talk about this with her because I feel her slipping away. I love my wife. I love my daughter that I'm getting to know. I love my grandson. There's so much guilt on my end because of all those years I missed. I don't know how to hold all of this at once and I just need help. I feel guilt, confusion, and like I'm failing everyone. Please help with advice because I need it bad. Comments. Commenter 1. This is just a brutal situation. Let's be real, number 30-year-old woman is going to be happy being thrust into the role of grandma. This just might not be survivable. Commenter 2. You need to sit down and figure out what your plan is. Are going to raise your daughter and grandson. This is a decades-long commitment. How does this impact you and your wife's plans? What changes are you now asking of her? Then be 110% honest with your wife about your decision and how this changes your lives. Respect her decision if she can't accept it. Reply. The plan was for her to stay with us temporarily. She actually moved out right before the baby was born, and moved back in shortly after once he left for basic training. Commenter 3. Probably some kind of plan other than this is your life for the next 18 years. Which is what you have done by taking in a pregnant child and then their infant with no discussion of the future. Are you going to be parenting setting expectations and boundaries this teen mom, or are you more of a permanent maternity hotel, providing needed services without expectations? What's the plan for the bio dad, custody, child support, mom completing education? Reply. I'm not treating her like a roommate, but I don't place extreme authority either. This is where I also think therapy can help. She's still with the father. Commenter 4. Therapy. This is far beyond Reddit's pay grade and it's highly doubtful you're going to find anyone who has been in this exact situation to be able to offer advice. Reply. Thank you. A lot of the comments are suggesting therapy and I'm going to suggest it to my wife. I really need this to work. Stories number 17. My extended family think I'm a monster for going no contact with my parents. Aita. I'm 18 and my parents only bio kid. They wanted more but they couldn't have more. So when I was 6 they decided they were going to foster kids with the hope that some would become eligible for adoption in the future. All they told me initially was I would have a load of other kids to play with, so I thought that sounded really great. But then they really pressured me to say I wanted them to foster and I was on board no matter what. The change happened because they were assigned a case/social worker not sure the difference really, and I would be interviewed alongside them. Something I learned a few years ago is that most people who sign up to foster will say if there are certain needs they can't meet so kids can have better placements. My parents were open for any/all kids with all kinds of behavioral issues if needed. So not once did they think of me. Because my parents were open for any kids, we sometimes had really traumatized kids who were violent or some who were so angry at the world that they were violent. I was attacked a lot. I had kids punch and kick me, bite me, choke hold me, burn me, and all kinds of things. My parents refused to get me a lock for my door, and when I made a makeshift doorstop they took that away once they found it. Whenever I spoke negatively about the fostering experience my parents would tell me if I ruined it for those kids and them then I would be a selfish little asshole, and did I really think my life was worse than those kids who had been abused and so much worse. They said this even after one of the foster kids lost their shit and beat me hard enough leave bruises all over my face and body. It was summer so they could hide me until they went away. I had to walk on eggshells depending on who was in the house. There were times it wasn't as terrible and the kids were okay, but I struggled to want any of them around because of how crappy the experience as a whole was. And I was talked to every few months by the case/social worker, but my parents had me afraid to speak up. None of the kids they got were ever free for adoption, so they never adopted any of the kids they fostered. None ever stayed forever either. I was relieved and they knew it. So they would get mad at me every time I was glad to see the kids go home or somewhere else. A couple of times it was suggested that I get therapy by the case/social worker, and my parents never took that seriously. Their foster kids got all the therapy they needed and my parents were so devoted to doing the best for them. But it was like fuck our bio kid and his needs. I think sometimes it was their way of punishing me for being there only. I turned 18 back in March and I moved out of my parents' house and went to stay with a friend and his family. I was there until a couple of weeks ago and now I'm in another state waiting for college to start. Since March I haven't spoken to my parents once. But a few times I spoke to extended family and they asked why I'm not talking to my parents. I told them I was no contact and they told me it was disgusting to turn my back on my parents. Some asked me why and I told them. But then it was like unilaterally decided that I'm a monster for holding my parents' kindness for other kids against them. I asked why they wanted me to have contact so bad if I'm a monster and they told me my parents are my parents and even if they made mistakes I need to forgive them and that I shouldn't be so quick to throw away my family. They even say it's my age and everyone young these days is so ready to throw away their whole entire family over every small thing. Stories number 18. Aita for telling my dad and his fiancée how I really feel, sending my dad into a deep depression. I know the title sounds super bad but hear me out. Throwaway because some cousins know my main. I 18 am an only child. I live with my mom full-time, my parents are divorced. Some quick context, during my entire life my mom always picked up after me and my dad. They both worked full-time, but my mom handled breakfast, lunch, dinner, groceries, cleaning, laundry. What did my dad do? Mow the lawn, shovel snow, fix things like the sink if it ever broke. When I was younger I always loved my dad, 'cause he would do fun things with me. Take me to sports games, play with me in the yard sometimes, buy me McDonald's or ice cream. He was the fun parent, and my mom was the caring one. She always made me food, helped me in school, packed my bags, comforted me when I was sad and took care of me when I was sick. When I got older I started to realize more and more how much my mom did, while my dad would sit on the couch and watch TV or stuff like that. My mom asked me when I was quite young to help her out with cleaning etc., and I remember I would get mad at me when she asked. I didn't want to clean, who does? But one day after she had gotten annoyed I didn't even pick up after myself, I yelled at her to leave me alone. I was probably like 12, and that day I heard her cry in the bathroom afterwards. When I realized I made her cry, it clicked in my head that she was doing everything for us and Dad did barely anything. And I did absolutely nothing at all. It felt like I grew up super quickly over the course of a week, and I started helping my mom a lot more. It became a bonding thing for us, talking and helping each other out with cleaning and groceries etc. My dad was still like the fun parent, would take me to games and all that, but I grew more and more annoyed that he didn't help out at all. I think when I was like 14 I once said to his face that he never helps out around the house, and he got furious with me. Yelled in my face and sent me to my room. My mom comforted me and told me to just let him be, you and I got this alone anyway. The few times he was dragged into helping he would always make a mess somehow, and it would end in an argument with him and mom. I've realized now he most likely did a bad job on purpose so we wouldn't ask him for help. When I was 15, mom found out that dad cheated. He had been for like a year. They had the biggest fight ever, and my dad left us that night to live with his mistress and her daughter from a previous marriage. He came a few days after and picked most of his stuff up. I don't remember much how the divorce went, other than my mom being a wreck. When it was finalized, she honestly broke down even more. I fed her, helped her into the shower, held her at night. I've never seen her that bad, and if I didn't hate my dad for what he had done in general, I started absolutely despising him for what he did to mom. Family from mom's side would help us too, but it was mostly me since no one could really move in and stay with us full-time. I picked up a job at 16 to help at home. It took my mom maybe half a year to start going back to her old self. She grew up to be better, happier, and I had never seen her so full of life when she was with dad. A month or two after the divorce was over my dad started pushing for me to live with him 50% of the time. I told him to fuck off basically, but mom said I shouldn't shut him out completely. So I went to him every other weekend. He tried to be all nice to me and so did his mistress, but I hated their guts. The mistress, let's call her Hannah, tried to be nice to me but also bossed me around, and I basically ignored her. She has a daughter from a previous marriage who tried to bond with me, but I ignored her. Barely even a year after the divorce was over, Hannah got pregnant, and they had another daughter. Dad and Hannah have tried to push for me to be a big brother for them, but I couldn't care about them less. Now I'm 18, and I gradually stopped going to my dad's. I barely ever stay a night, I just visit, and my dad keeps trying to blame my mom for it. Hannah gives me more and more attitude and tries to use her daughters to guilt me into staying over, saying they miss their big brother. You're so selfish. We had a big confrontation when I visited last. I stayed for 20 minutes before Hannah started trying to lecture me, so I just started leaving. Dad blocked my way and told me I have to grow up and leave the past in the past. He said I can't be mad forever and I'm acting as if I don't love him, and we're all family. That just set me off. I started screaming at him that I haven't loved him in years. I told him that he was always a lazy POS who acted more like a child than a husband to Mom. She always cleaned up after him, cleaned the house alone, washed his clothes, made him food, fetched him another beer even though the kitchen was 5 steps away. But all that ever came out of his mouth was complaints and demands. I told him he took me out to do fun things, sure, but that's not all there is to be a dad. He was never there for me, helped me in school, drove me anywhere or picked me up, comforted me. And then he did the worst possible thing. After years of standing on my mother's back and using her, he went and fucked a random woman and absolutely broke her mom. I screamed about how a kid had to pick up the pieces of his own mother cause his father was such a POS and useless garbage. I felt nothing for him, in fact I hated his guts still, and I hated his mistress too. I turned to Hannah and told her that she means nothing to me, she has no authority over me, I don't give a shit about her or her kids. I told them both I wish nothing bad at their daughters, but Hannah is a horrible person for filling her kids' heads with lies about how I'm their brother when I've repeatedly told them I'm not. Then I looked my dad in the eyes and said my father died to me years ago, and that man wasn't even a good dad. You're just a stranger to me. I pushed my way past him and left. When I got home I told my mom everything and cried. She hugged me and told me she understands my emotions but wishes I wasn't so aggressive, for my own sake. My mom has never said a bad thing about my dad despite everything, and when I would curse him out she always told me it wasn't worth it. My dad and his new family were silent for a few days, but then Hannah started bombarding me with texts about how I was a horrible son and how my dad hasn't stopped crying since. I know he always wanted a son and wanted a close bond, but he's failed me as a father and I don't care. But family from Hannah's side I've met like once or not at all have also started messaging me saying I was out of line and everyone makes mistakes. But I don't think it's a mistake, I genuinely think my dad's a POS and I don't owe him anything. But I guess all the hate from so many people has me doubting myself, maybe I should have just left without a word. Top comments. Commenter 1, NTAOP. Your father created this mess and now he has to live with the consequences of his actions. I would block numbers of everyone who is supporting him as you don't need their negativity. I would also suggest counseling of some sort, not for anyone else but yourself. Commenter 2, go no contact, he's a POS you don't need to waste time on. Commenter 3, NTA you are not responsible for his feelings but as a parent he sure as shit is responsible for yours. Maybe you shouldn't have raised your voice but it sounds like he never would have heard you otherwise. These are the consequences of his own actions, he's shown you how not to be a man. Take those lessons and build something better. I would encourage you to not cut off your little sisters completely, if only to show them that they can strive for better themselves. But maybe approach it in a way of, maybe you take them to the park, a movie, or ice cream every couple weeks. But make it clear that you're only there for them, not your useless father and his home-wrecking WH*re. But you are not responsible for the two jackasses' feelings or to appease their guilt. You're also not responsible for their children, and are not obligated to be in their lives if you don't want to. However, you've seen how he's failed as a father and had to deal with the fallout of that yourself. I'm sure you've wished that there was some way to soften that blow for yourself, maybe you can soften the blow for them when they're eventually let down by him. Oh, and block all of her family. They are nothing to do and clearly are lunatics if they think it's acceptable to message a barely adult about family dynamics they have no part of. Sorry I'm old, you seem like a good kid with a good head on his shoulders, but 18 is still very young. Take what's helpful here and leave the rest. Good luck kiddo and keep your chin up. Update. Hey Dad. I know what I said yesterday was very harsh but I'm not apologizing for it. Growing up you made it clear what a partner and husband shouldn't be. Even though Mom and you worked the same hours, you were always entitled to your alone time and your rest while she was left to pick up after the whole family. I realized at a young age that Mom needed help, and every time I picked up your old socks or put your dishes away I got more and more annoyed at what a lazy POS you are. A 12-year-old did more housework than his father, let that sink in. You went and did fun things with me, I acknowledge and did appreciate that. But that's not all there to be a parent. I needed you other times, when I was sick, sad, stressed, needed help with homework, or even just talking to you. I know you always wanted a good father and son bond but we never actually talked. Not small talk, proper conversations. I honestly feel like you don't even know who I truly am. But when I went to you with anything, you told me to go to mom because you had a long day at work. I hope for your new daughter's sake that you start picking up your shit after yourself. I can't stand Hannah, but I somehow also hope she doesn't get stuck in the loop of scrubbing your back and holding your spoon when you eat, never allowed to ask for a favor and rest. You need to tell her to get her family to stop harassing me about this, or I'm blocking you all, you included. Hannah has no authority over me and I have no respect for her because she slept with a married man. She also is not entitled to a relationship with me. I've always tried to be polite but not welcoming because I don't see her as anything other than your mistress. She needs to get that through her head. And like I said, I will never wish anything bad onto her daughters, but I am not their family. You filling their head with that BS is only causing them harm. Get that through your head. If you're unhappy in your marriage, you either try to work it out, go to therapy, or split on whatever terms. You don't cheat on your partner like a scumbag. It doesn't matter how you felt for Hannah and mom at the time, you should have split with mom before pursuing Hannah. I'm fucking 18 years old and even I know that. If the texts don't stop today, I'm blocking every last one of you. I'm already blocking Hannah's family, but I'm keeping you and her unblocked for whatever reason. This is not me forgiving you, don't think we can work through this. Because we can't. I'm not visiting you for a while, and if I ever want to again, it will be on my terms. This is not up for negotiation, and again, if you try to pressure me or guilt trip me, I will literally just never speak to you again. I hope you go to therapy and get fully torn down so you can build yourself up to be someone worthy of respect. Because right now you're not. Now leave me alone. After like 3 or 4 hours, Dad responded, I understand, and nothing else. The random texts have stopped. I don't know. I sort of feel free but also sad. I'm not burning the bridge fully, but I'm also done with their BS. So yeah, that's where I stand right now. Thanks for listening. Edit. Some people questioned if I'm really 18 LOL, and I get that. It's not like I wrote this text to my dad out in 10 minutes and sent it. I spent an hour writing it and my mom helped read it and let me know if it was good. I've always liked books and reading as a kid. My mom never baby taught me, so I started speaking proper sentences really early. She always brags about that LOL. Anyway, thank you, this is the last from me. Have a nice life. Top comments. Commenter 1, you're doing what's right for you, NTA, and I'm proud of you. Commenter 2, honestly OP, the way you were able to articulate your feelings and thoughts so clearly and handle all this situation while being freshly 18 is impressive. You showed more maturity than both adults, your cheating father and his homewrecker of wife. You'll be okay without them from now on. I don't worry for you, it's time for your mom and you to enjoy some happiness too. You have a lot of beautiful things coming ahead. Your father, his mistress and their failing family and marriage is not your issue to worry about anymore. Best of luck and take care of you. Commenter 3, well said. Everyone makes mistakes, but if you don't learn from those mistakes and change for the better, then they are not mistakes. They're just who you have chosen to be. I'm glad that you see that, and you are a great son. To your mom, the only actual parent you have. Commenter 4, it takes courage to tell such a deeply painful truth to someone who doesn't want to acknowledge the pain they've caused. What you've done is most likely the healthiest thing you could have done. You should be proud of yourself and confident in your decision. Stories number 19. Aita for helping my sister walk when everyone thinks she is exaggerating. Hello, I am 18F and my sister 12F has been complaining of body aches for a week now. She says all of her legs hurt in different places at different times, plus back hurts, plus head hurts, with ears getting blocked, plus hands as well. It really seems like her whole body is nothing but a ball of pain. How I help her walk is that I let her put her arm around my shoulders, while her available arm grips onto my arm. It seems to genuinely hurt her to stand, and she starts flopping even while trying to stand straight without support. The issue seems to be that sometimes she says that it hurts to simply lift her leg on the bed, whereas other times she does that without issue, and also twists in her sleep. My father saw this through the camera. She was moving around throughout her sleep. We went to the doctor finally today, and he also seemed to agree that there was nothing too wrong. No arthritis in the blood report, nothing obviously wrong. He is my father's friend, I think. All this, and her general upbeat nature when she is sitting and playing with our cousin, has solidified our family's belief in the fact that she is faking. They think that the idea that she will get hurt and fall down is making her not put effort into trying to walk, and me being beside her ready to help is not helping. My father in particular has said all sorts of hurtful things, such as how she is faking to get attention from me, that it's 2001% my fault, etc. He also did this very frustrating thing where he mocked the way that my sister screams when she tries to walk. She scrunches up her face and screams ah or ooh when it hurts, and sometimes my father just laughs. Once he held a cane and imitated the noises, saying OMG I am hurting so bad while laughing. I really don't want to leave her alone in the room with my parents only. I think they have been very frustrating in this situation, as described above, but not leaving when they tell me to seems to just get added to my laundry list of flaws in this situation. I did leave once, when she first complained, and I returned to her crying and asking me why I abandoned her. It breaks my heart to see her like this. She cries very often due to how much it hurts, due to not feeling stable when I try to make her hold me in a way my parents and relatives think is better. It seems like if I follow their instructions, I am betraying my sister. But I don't want to stunt her or hurt her, especially when the doctor also said her to just put in more effort to walk. Am I the asshole? Stories number 20. My F26 by M22 just peed the bed then got mad at me. Okay, I'm so confused, not sure if this even belongs here. So IF26 just got woken up by the very recognizable sound of peeing. It was very brief, but we both woke up from it. My BF M22, dating a year, got up to clean himself. I was just laying there laughing cause I couldn't believe what happened and made sure the blanket and pillows were well away from the wet spot. My BF came back, sat next to me on the edge of my bed and took my hand. We didn't talk. He must have been very embarrassed, I'm sure. I told him to get a towel. Then he made a move as to get back into bed. I told him to get a towel again. He mumbled STH I couldn't understand and left the room. To go into the living room to lay down on the sofa, I went after him and asked Taff was going on. At this point it got so weird, he got mad at me and started getting his stuff and ranting, but it was kinda mumbly. At this point I was a bit freaked, so just wanted him to leave, which eventually he did. He said STH along the lines of, "You people have everything," or STH, at the door. I asked him to repeat because again, WTF, he didn't. I asked if he was sleepwalking, he said I was. And now I'm sitting here waiting for the mattress to soak up the vinegar and just wondering what the actual hell just happened. TLDR, my BF peed the bed then got mad at me when I told him to get a towel. Update 2, everyone's alive, unhurt and okay so far. We'll talk in the morning and look into seeing a doctor about this as people advised. Stories number 21. Wibta if I told my mom that her dogs are the only ones not allowed on family vacation. My mom has 2 half Yorkie half Maltese dogs. These dogs are my mom's world. The problem is they are obsessed with food, they will go to any lengths to get human food. It started with a bag of barbecue potatoes chips on my kitchen counter ripped open and devoured, leaving a huge barbecue dust mess. Next was an entire pizza that was snatched off of the table the moment I went to grab sodas from the kitchen. In the span of less than a minute when I returned, half of the pizza was gone, the dogs were standing in the other half of the pizza and there was pizza sauce all over my carpet. Next get together they found their way inside even though I asked my mom to keep them in the backyard. They got into my kitchen and tore open 2 bags of hamburger buns, and ate around $40 worth of seasoned raw hamburger meat and a block of cheddar cheese. At this point I told my mother her dogs were not allowed at my home. She has stopped coming by altogether, which does hurt my feelings because if it's a choice between her kid and the dogs she will always pick the dogs. I'm planning a family vacation, booked a nice cabin for the whole family to stay in. My sister is bringing her dog well-behaved female pit, so I know it's going to be an issue when I tell my mom her dogs are not allowed to come with us. I don't want to spend the whole weekend making sure not a single scrap of food is left out for even a second, otherwise her dogs would tear it apart and potentially make a huge mess in the cabin I paid the deposit on. My sister told me to just tell my mom that she has to keep a close eye on her dogs, but I have tried that before and she's proven time and time again that she's either unable or unwilling to control her dog's behavior. Wibta if I tell my mom her food-crazed dogs are not allowed on family vacation even though another dog will be there. Update. Wibta if I told my mom that her dogs are the only ones not allowed on family vacation. How she responded. Packing up at the end of the vacation, a few of you asked me to update on what happened. I don't know how to copy links, so I guess click on my profile to read the old post. How Reddit works, y'all are smart enough to figure it out. Took the coward's way out and asked my dad to break it to her that her dogs weren't invited. He wasn't happy about it, but he said he gets it. Then he told me some mildly disturbing stuff that he was just laughing off. Like they had bought a locked bread box for pastries on the counter that had been chewed to pieces in order to get to the cinnamon rolls inside, and showed me a picture of the bottom of their fridge that had been extensively chewed, like the dogs were desperately biting and clawing to get inside. He stated he loves the dogs too but could understand why someone wouldn't want them around during vacation. Dad reported mom took it well and the dogs would stay over at their neighbors who they are good friends with. I was relieved. Everyone showed up and started unpacking except my mom, who my dad said was tying things up at the house and she would be by later. Mom didn't show up that night and I missed her. The next day Mom did show up, but as many commenters suspected, brought her dogs with her. Tried to play it off as nothing, giving out hugs and smiles, but I was upset. I also tried to play it cool, but I told her that her dogs were not to enter the cabin and that they could not stay the night. She waved me off. Yeah, okay, I get it. It was fine for a few hours, but then I noticed some dirty napkins were floating around in the breeze. I discovered that the garbage bag we had tied to the picnic table had the bottom ripped out and paper plates had been shredded and licked clean. I cleaned up the mess furious and confronted my mother and told her this is exactly why her dogs weren't invited. My mom tried to blame my sister's dog for the mess. You didn't see what happened, it could have been her. I told her that there was no way I would blame Lola for the mess since her dogs are known for doing this kind of thing. My mom clammed up and said fine, I will just take them home, and left with the dogs. My dad wasn't happy after that, saying I didn't have any proof and I went too hard on her. My uncle thought it was funny and he was glad to not have the little bastards trying to steal his hot dog. It put a damper on the whole trip. I just feel like an idiot for trying to make this work in the first place. I miss my mom and I wanted to make family memories, but it really does feel like the dogs and my mom are a package deal now, and asking her to leave them even for a short time was never an option. A lot of people said this in the comments. I don't think I was ready to hear it yet. Thanks for being so responsive, and the comments really did help me see the reality of the situation I'm in now. Update: if I told my mom that her dogs are the only ones not allowed on family vacation. Things have escalated and I'm done. Just gonna jump right in and try to keep it short. I talked with my sis about the chance of my mom's dogs getting sick or dying from eating out of the trash. My mom has always gotten along better with my sister, so I asked her if there was any point in trying to talk to her about getting her dogs trained. She set up a dinner at Wingstop for the three of us. I directly asked my mom at dinner if she fed her dogs dog food or only people food. She got offended and said yes, of course I feed them 2 cups of food for lunch and dinner. I told her that 4 cups of food was already a lot of food for 2 small dogs on top of getting table scraps. My mom said she didn't want to discuss her dogs any further, but my sister jumped in and said that the dogs were why she invited her. She said that she had done some research on dog trainers and found an affordable program. She offered to pay for it in full, all my mom would have to is take them. My mom said that was very generous of her but didn't accept or deny it. My mom started looking nervous and said that she had forgotten to do something and needed to take off early. I thought, well, we tried, let her leave. My sister followed her outside and I settled the bill. When I left I saw my mom and sister were still there and her dogs were doing small laps around my mom's legs. I was extremely confused. I just kinda stood there dumbfounded, like how the hell did they get here? My sister was yelling at my mom, I would never do something like this to Lola, this is completely unacceptable. My mom yelled back, it's less than 60 degrees out and it's nighttime, they were fine. My sister fired back, so if we hadn't made you mad, how long would you have just left them out here while we were eating? My mom ignored her, grabbed her dogs in a huff and left. My sister was fuming, saying she was lucky nobody saw her dogs in the car, otherwise my mom would be dealing with the police. I wish I could say I was surprised that my mom's had left her dogs in the car, but I wasn't. I've texted her a couple times since then, but she's not responding to anything my sister or I send her. I won't be updating again. Everyone is mad at each other and I don't see anything positive coming out of this situation. I'm gonna take the advice of some of the commenters and just let her go. I tried my best to include and help her and it only made everything more awful. Stories number 22. Aita for keeping groceries in my cupboard and lying about it to my roommates. I 23F live with my boyfriend 22M, my best friend 21F and her boyfriend 24M. I have been working at a new job for about 7 months. I get a regular salary for starting at the bottom, so I can basically just afford simple monthly expenses such as rent, utilities, and groceries. My boyfriend is studying his degree and helps with bills from money he earns from a part-time job and that his parents give him for his allowance. My best friend helps out with bills from an allowance she gets from her parents, as she is also still studying her degree. The three of us decided to rent an apartment together as it was a more affordable option. We discussed that we would split the bills between us equally. This arrangement was working well until my best friend's boyfriend moved in. He repeatedly stated that he would also help with the bills, but until he found a job he could only help with groceries. We all agreed this was okay, but also said that he couldn't stay here forever without bringing his side. I started to notice over time that the groceries I was buying were disappearing, but at a faster rate than what they should be. I asked my boyfriend, but he said that he genuinely didn't take any extra groceries. My boyfriend and I are really trying to save money for the future, and so we budget everything down to the groceries. I don't mean that we go hungry to save money, I just mean that we don't eat 900g T-bone steaks every night. Then I noticed that my BFS boyfriend was treating himself to his meals when in the kitchen, with my groceries. I let it go on for a while until I no longer had food to eat myself and had no money to buy more. I called a house meeting in which I stated that I was not happy with this whole issue, to which my BFS and her boyfriend stated they would buy their own food from then on and we would no longer share. After that, food didn't disappear as much but was still finishing faster than it should. I then started keeping my groceries in my cupboard in my bedroom. I hate confrontation, and so when I needed something from my cupboard I would make sure they weren't there to see, but I've bumped into my best friend's boyfriend while carrying some groceries out of my room. They then started to ask if I had extra groceries that they could have, e.g. bread, to which I would say no, which was lying, as I did have bread but for work sandwiches. It's been about 1 month now and my BFS and her boyfriend both feel cold towards me still, and I often catch them whispering and stop when my boyfriend or I enter. I am not sure if this was maybe the wrong solution for the problem, but I don't see how I now have to be treated like a villain because my groceries are in my cupboard. Stories number 23. Aita for calling my partner a discount dad after he kept treating me like a child instead of a partner, even though I'm dealing with severe health issues. Hi Reddit. Throwaway because I don't want this linked to my main. I 18F have been dating my boyfriend, let's call him Jake 24M, for a little under a year. At first, things were really good. He seemed emotionally stable, mature, grounded, all the things I thought I wanted after dealing with a lot of chaotic guys my own age. We met through mutual friends and clicked pretty quickly. He said he liked how mature I was and how together I seemed for my age, which felt nice to hear, especially since I came out of a very abusive household. I won't lie, I felt flattered at first. I thought we had an understanding that yes, I'm younger, but I'm still an equal in this relationship. But over the months, that dynamic has really started to shift, and now I'm not sure I'm being treated like a partner at all. For some background, I've been diagnosed with endometriosis and POTS, postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome. Both conditions affect my daily life in big ways. I deal with chronic fatigue, dizziness, and a lot of pain. There are days when I physically can't get out of bed without struggling, and managing my symptoms takes a lot of mental energy on top of everything else. Jake knows this. I was upfront about it from the beginning. And at first, he was really kind and supportive. But over time, he started acting like he knows better than me how I should be living my life. It started small comments about how much I sleep or how I manage my symptoms, but now it's like I can't do anything without some kind of lecture or judgment. Some examples: if I sleep in to manage a flare-up, that's not healthy. You need structure or you'll never be independent. If I get food delivered on a day I'm too fatigued to cook, you're wasting money and being lazy. If I cancel plans because of pain, you'll never build resilience if you give in every time. Even if I lie down after standing too long and feel dizzy, a POTS symptom, he tells me I should push through because resting too much makes it worse. He also makes comments about my outfits being too revealing or not appropriate, and when I tell him I don't want unsolicited advice, he says he's just trying to help me grow or teach me how to be an adult. But I am an adult, just one, managing 2 chronic illnesses on top of everything else. Things came to a head last week. I was having a rough few days, a bad endo flare, zero energy, and could barely sit upright for long. He came over and saw that I'd been resting most of the day and immediately launched into another long-winded talk about discipline and life habits and how I need to stop relying on rest as a crutch. I'd had enough, so I said, not even shouting, just tired, I didn't agree to date a discount dad. If I wanted someone to supervise my life and tell me how I'm failing, I'd move back in with my parents. He went completely silent. Left my apartment, and didn't talk to me for 2 days. When he finally did, he said I crossed a line, that he was just trying to help, and that I had no idea how hard it is to support someone who won't even try. I was honestly stunned. Now his friends are messaging me saying I'm selfish and too immature to handle a relationship with a real adult. His mum, yes, his actual mother, messaged me saying she's disappointed and that Jake has always been the kind of guy who lifts women up. I just want to be clear, I do try. Every day is hard with these conditions. I work, I cook when I can, I handle my appointments, I advocate for myself in medical systems that constantly brush me off. I don't think I need to be raised by a man who thinks being 6 years older makes him my life coach. I care about him, but I also feel like I've been slowly shoved into the role of student or child in this relationship, and I'm starting to wonder if that was his intention from the beginning. So great PPL of Reddit. Aita for calling my boyfriend a discount dad after months of being treated like a project instead of a person. Edit. Hey guys, you just waved to say I am from Australia where the legal age to do almost anything is 18. Relevant comments. OOP responds to a downvoted comment regarding communication keys, trying new things, and managing health issues. Reply, my main issue with the clothing comments is that what I wear isn't actually revealing at all. Most of the time, I wear really baggy wax jeans with a fitted shirt, but even then it usually doesn't show any skin. I tend to wear a lot of long-sleeved sports-style tops. The only time I'm in anything more relaxed is when I'm at home, just wearing a t-shirt and underwear, and that's only ever around him, no one else. As for my health, my flare-ups really aren't frequent. In the last 6 months, there've only been 2 times where things were bad enough that I couldn't properly move for a day or so. On a day-to-day basis, you wouldn't even know anything's wrong. I have full days of work and study, and then I come home and rest. That's usually when he calls me lazy. We've communicated about all of this more than enough. We've been together for almost a year now. In fact, tomorrow would mark a full year, and I've spent that time trying to explain how I feel and why the way he treats me isn't okay. But most of those conversations have ended in huge arguments, with him screaming at me and accusing me of making up my illnesses. He's told me more than once that if he had what I have, he'd be completely fine, and that I'm exaggerating everything. He's even said that there's nothing wrong with me, that I just think the world revolves around me, and that I need to stop pretending to be in pain. If those comments had never been made, I might have been able to understand his frustration or at least see it from his side. But after hearing things like that repeatedly, it just feels like he's being controlling. Across this entire year of us being together, there's probably only been about 1 full week total where I've completely stayed in bed. I know my limits. I've had POTS since I was 10 and was diagnosed with endometriosis at 11, 2 years after my first period. I've lived with these conditions for most of my life, and I know how to manage them. What I don't need is someone telling me they don't exist or that I'm using them as excuses to avoid being productive, when I on a daily basis work 10-hour shifts and then also study a diploma. How old was OOP when she met her partner, as there is an age gap? Reply, I was freshly 18 when we met, and he didn't know how old I was till about 3 weeks into speaking. To be completely honest, I thought he was closer to my age, as he very much looked like it and acted like it. I am 19 in about a month. I'm not trying to stand up for him with the comment I'm about to make, but I can definitely say I do look and act a lot older than what I am. I get it quite a lot from a load of different people and a lot of different professions. I can honestly see how you made the mistake of thinking I could be older than what I was, especially because my friend group is also between 20 and 23. Commenter 1, NTA. Dude's 24 dating an 18 years old with chronic illness and thinks he's your life coach. The age gap plus his behavior screams control issues. You managing 2 serious conditions while working isn't lazy, it's impressive AF. Also, his mom messaging you is weird and crossing boundaries. Run. Reply, I definitely do think his mom messaging me was weird, and I do fully believe that he completely twisted the situation to her because his mother and I have had a really good bond up until then. OOP clarifies why she was having this relationship with a 24-year-old guy. Reply, I get the point you're trying to make, and trust me, I'm not here to defend someone who's made me feel this shitty. But I want to clear some things up. This relationship was not illegal. When we met, I was 18 and he was 23. He's 24 now, and I'm turning 19 very soon. I'm legally an adult and have been living as one for a long time. I finished school at 15, moved out at 14, and have worked full-time since I was 16. I've been independent for years and had to grow up a lot faster than most people my age. I know some people take issue with age gaps, and that's fair, but where I live, and for the life I've lived, our age difference wasn't seen as strange. It's actually one of the more normal ones I've come across. I personally stayed with him because everyone my age felt immature, directionless, or just flat out not on my level. At the time, being with someone older seemed like the smarter, more stable choice. And honestly, the age gap still isn't a red flag to me. He is the way he acted. The way he treated me. That's the actual issue. When I mentioned him not knowing my age straight away or me usually being around older people, it wasn't to defend him. It was to explain how I saw things at the time. When he did find out my age, he chose to stay that part. 100% on him. And now, after seeing the way he's treated me, how he's spoken to me, how he's lashed out, how he tried to hit me while I was crying, I've broken up with him. I know now that this wasn't okay. I've read every single DM and comment. I'm starting to reply to them now, and honestly, a lot of what people have said gave me clarity I didn't expect. It helped me understand what I was rationalizing or minimizing. You're right that he had choices and so did I. I chose to stay longer than I should have, but I've chosen to leave now and that's what matters most to me. Update, Aita for calling my partner a discount dad because he kept treating me like a child. Hey. I didn't expect the post to get the kind of attention it did. I watched it go from about 200 upvotes down to 1, and honestly I'm still not sure why, but I really want to thank everyone who commented or messaged me privately. I've read everything. I'm slowly replying when I have the energy. You've all given me so much insight, some of it really hit, stuff I hadn't even thought about until now. Just, thank you. It means a lot. I wasn't planning to update this soon, but things have gotten way worse within the last 3 hours, and I feel like I need to talk about it. Especially after what just happened. So I've been really sick the last few days. Like, properly sick. I was diagnosed with a bone sinus infection, and it's knocked me flat. I've had constant fevers, stabbing pain in my face and head, nausea, dizziness, I can't keep much food down, and on top of that my POTS symptoms have been way worse than usual. I've mostly just been in bed, barely functioning, just trying to rest and not pass out. Because of all that, I had to call in sick to work these last 2 days. I work with food, and there was just no way I could safely be around customers or food prep like this. I can barely even stand upright. It didn't feel like I had a choice. This afternoon I got a call from work telling me I was fired. No warnings or anything, just said they needed someone more reliable and they can't keep me on if I can't show up. I get it, I guess, but it still crushed me. I've always tried to show up, I've never taken advantage of sick days or anything. It felt like everything hit at once. I've only taken about 4 sick days in the entire 2 years. I've worked for this company. Jake came over not long after. I told him what happened. Told him I lost my job, that I'm sick, that I might need to go to the hospital because I'm starting to feel seriously not okay, and his response was basically, well, maybe if you took better care of yourself, this wouldn't happen. Then he said something like, you still could have gone in, people push through being sick all the time. I tried to explain that it's not like a cold, this is a bone infection, I literally couldn't walk from the bed to the kitchen earlier without fainting, and I work with food. He just kept brushing it off like I was being dramatic. He told me I'm always sick and I never fight through it. That turned into a full-blown fight. He started yelling, full volume screaming, pacing the room while I was just sitting there crying and asking him to stop. I was already feeling like absolute shit and I couldn't even get a word in without him talking over me. At one point I tried to speak and he got up close, and he raised his hand like he was about to hit me. He didn't, but he looked like he wanted to. And that scared me more than anything he's ever said. That was it for me. I ended it. We're done. I broke up with him then and there. Told him to get out, that I'm not doing this anymore. I don't care how sick I am or how hard things get from here, I'd rather be completely alone than sit there sobbing while the person who's supposed to care about me screams at me for being unwell. Right now I'm still in bed, fever's high, heart rate's not great, and honestly I think I'm going to the hospital soon. Something feels off in my body and I don't want to wait until it's too late. With POTS and now this infection, it feels like everything is just piling on top of me. I'm genuinely scared, not just emotionally but physically. My body feels like it's breaking down. Though I wanted to take the time to write this update, I am using text-to-speech, so I am so sorry if it's a bit jumbled. I'm tired of begging someone to believe me when I say I'm in pain. I'm tired of being talked down to, managed, lectured, and guilt-tripped when I literally need help. I didn't ask to be sick. I didn't ask for endo, or POTS, or a sinus infection that knocked me flat. I've done everything I can to keep pushing through, but it was never enough for him. But it's over. I'm scared, and sick, and jobless, but I'm also finally out. And that has to mean something. If you've made it this far, thank you again. Your comments gave me the courage to stop waiting for someone else to change and finally start choosing myself. Relevant comments. Commenter 1, thank God you broke up with him. He was grooming you, and definitely emotionally abusive through manipulation tactics and attempting to control you. OP, I hope you get better soon. Removing an abusive partner from your life will help remove a lot of the stress you're feeling, and accelerate your healing. You may be able to report your workplace for wrongful termination, as long as you properly called in sick and provided medical records/doctor's note, of course depending on which country you're located in. Reply, I definitely am gonna be reporting my old workplace. My manager wasn't the best person in general and there's a lot that she did that wasn't okay. Where I'm from, if you get wrongly terminated from a job, if you go through fair work, there's about a 70% chance you can get a 10K payout. Commenter 2, call your trusted friends and tell them what's happened, and if one of them can take you hospital. Make sure when you come back home you are not alone, change the locks to your door. Block his number and any of his friends, mom, etc. Focus on your health, you can always get another job. With your health issues, can't you get some type of help from the government? Reply, I did end up calling a friend to take me to the hospital, and I told them everything that happened. I also have another close friend staying at mine until I'm back just to make sure he doesn't try to go there or anything, and for my health issues I can go on to a disability payment. I am eligible for that. But taking that payment means I'll no longer be able to work unless I do cash in hand work that I don't tell the government practically. And I would definitely say that working is one of my favorite things. I am studying to be a mortician, so it would absolutely break my heart if I could no longer do that. OOP explains her family health history. Reply, bone sinus infections in my family are very common things. They are never really bad and they only just take some antibiotics to clear up. I got scans done and stuff and it was only a very slight infection, hence why I was just given antibiotics and told to rest. Considering you're a nurse and you haven't heard of bone sinus infections really concern me. OOP on getting unemployment. Reply, we have something called Centrelink. I'm really not sure if that's in America. I don't pay much attention to what's over there. But applying for an unemployment and job seeker payment is incredibly easy. You also keep that payment whilst you're working until you're receiving a certain amount of money for your job. Commenter, I'm proud of you and I'm praying for you. I hope you feel better quickly. You're right to listen to your body. Go to the hospital first. Next, focus on unemployment benefits. You should be able to Google it for your state and apply online to get the ball rolling. I'm so happy you lost your abusive holy boyfriend. You need to take care of yourself mentally so you can take care of yourself physically so you can take care of yourself financially. You're doing everything right and Reddit is rooting for you. Just a dude note, something tells me your loser ex lives with his mom. Am I right? Reply, thank you so much for your comment. I did go to the hospital and I have applied for unemployment and job seeker, and surprisingly, he doesn't live with his mom, he lives by himself. He works in the mines. Stories number 24. Aita for setting boundaries with my mom after she invited 30 people to our Airbnb. Last year my parents rented a cottage on the lake we grew up. My family and I, 2 adults/3 kids, went to visit for the day and had such a great time we all decided to rent a bigger cottage in my name. This is important for all of us for a week the following year. Unfortunately in December my dad passed away. We was a simple man, never wanted a service, just cremated and spread his ashes at the lake. Talked it over with mom and we decided to do family only with grandkids. There'd be 15 of us for one day at the lake to remember dad. This included my sister, who I barely talked to and has never met my kids, staying for 2 nights. Not ideal, but it's family. Well, next week is the rental and mom starts talking about salads and appetizers and deli platters. For 15 people. Negative Ghost Rider, turns out she has invited an additional 20 people for this get-together. To a house I rented and signed for, when the agreement specifically says no events or parties. One of those people is my sister's boyfriend, who my mom informed me is staying with us. I've never met this man and I've got 3 kids, 13F, 11F, 8M, sleeping in this house. I lost it. Said no. Told her I would be happy to rent a hall and have it there but not at the house. She insisted it wouldn't be a problem, and if someone made a fuss and told the owner she would talk to them and it would be fine. Told her no. I would transfer the rental to her name and she could do what she wants and I'll take my family somewhere else. So Aita for not letting my mom throw a huge party at a rental house and not letting my estranged sister and her boyfriend stay with us. Stories number 25. Aita for telling my boyfriend he needs to propose this year or I'm leaving. My boyfriend and I have been together for 7 years. We met in college and started dating in our early 20s. Back then, neither of us was thinking too far ahead. Marriage felt like a someday kind of thing. We were growing together, figuring things out, and honestly just enjoying being with each other. But now we're 30, and I've started feeling like I'm the only one still thinking about the future seriously. Over the past 3 years, I've brought up marriage multiple times. At first, he said he wanted to wait until he finished grad school. I understood that. Then it became about getting his career in order. He got a good job, but then it shifted again to wanting to travel more and enjoy our freedom before settling down. Every time I asked when he thought we'd take the next step, it was always some vague answer. Soon. When things settle down. After the next promotion. Last year I thought he was finally going to do it. We went on this amazing vacation, and I genuinely believed he might propose. He didn't. When I brought it up a few weeks later, he laughed and said we had plenty of time and that marriage was just a formality anyway. I didn't find it funny. I felt like I had been waiting for something that clearly wasn't coming. So, a month ago, I sat him down and told him plainly that I needed clarity. I said I didn't want to pressure him, but I also didn't want to waste more years hoping he'll change his mind. I told him I need to know that this is leading somewhere. I said if we aren't engaged by the end of this year, I'm done. I can't keep waiting while my life is on hold. He said I was giving him an ultimatum and that it felt manipulative. He told me proposals should come from love, not pressure. I get that. I really do. But I also feel like I've been incredibly patient. I've stood by him through job changes, his anxiety around money, his family issues. I've never once pressured him to propose on my timeline. But now it feels like he's just avoiding it completely, and I don't know if he ever really plans to marry me. I'm not trying to trap him or rush him into something he doesn't want. I just want to know if we're on the same page, or if I've been waiting for someone who doesn't actually want the same future as me. Some of my friends think I'm doing the right thing by drawing the line. Others think I'm being too aggressive and that I should be grateful he's still committed even if he isn't proposing yet. I'm feeling torn. I don't want to leave, but I also don't want to keep dragging this out and looking back years from now wondering why I stayed. So, Aita for giving him a deadline to propose or I walk. Stories number 26. I 26M suspected my GF 25F of cheating, but I found some disheartening texts. Lately, my girlfriend 26F of 3 years has been acting a little down. Out of nowhere, she said she was going to the movies with her friends. When she told me about it, she didn't seem happy but more worried that I would be upset she was going out, which is crazy, because I've never stopped her from seeing her friends. I asked her which movie. As it turns out, it is the new F1 movie. This is where I started feeling that maybe something was up because she doesn't like racing to my knowledge and the F1 movie seemed out of character for her particular friend group. When she left, I went through her iPad, first time doing this in our 3 years together. Texts between her friends confirmed that she was indeed going out with them to the movies and more than likely not cheating on me, but I found a text she sent her stepsister while I was away to visit my grandmother. It read, "I want to tell the last guy who I was hooking up with that I love my man but I miss that dick. I think I'm just horny but OMG that guy had such good dick, like it was so good it was crazy, and I would never cheat on insert OP's name but I wish I could fuck that guy again. I feel humiliated and used." Leading up to this, I've been watching her cats and paying for our 2-bedroom apartment by myself, while she went away for 3 months for her PhD program. With her going back to school, I've been footing the bills and at-home responsibilities. On the topic of sex, I've tried to initiate. The last time we tried, she said she was sleepy and that she feels guilty because we haven't had sex since she was away. From her perspective, it was a badly paraphrased joke from a podcast. And she understands how this upsets me. She denies wanting to be with her ex, but misses how she used to feel with her ex. She weighed a lot less, and they went out and did more adventurous things together. TLDR, my GF of 3 years told her stepsister she misses sex with her ex. How do I continue without feeling like I am being used because I'm financially and emotionally more stable than her ex? Stories number 27. My husband is disabled and I don't see a future worth looking forward to. My husband has multiple sclerosis. He was diagnosed over a decade ago and it has progressed so rapidly that he is in a wheelchair. He cannot work and is on disability. Our kids are grown and in college or working. We're fortunate to have resources so that neither of us have to work and I am his full-time caregiver. He is still capable of doing many things by himself but he's turned into a recluse. I know that this disease has felt like a death sentence to him. He won't take antidepressants and is resistant to therapy. He basically sits in on the couch all day, sometimes listening to audiobooks or working on his laptop on projects. He orders lunch every day on DoorDash. I think it's how he feels that he has control over his life. He doesn't like to leave the house at all and it drives me and the kids crazy. We'll suggest going for a walk or to the movies or out to get a meal or even coffee, but he just doesn't want to. He was always a loner so he doesn't have friends to visit. Once in a while his father or sibling will come to visit. I really do feel for him to have so much taken from him with this disease, but he doesn't want to look at the good that there is in our lives. We have kids who will do anything for him. We don't have money problems. I love him so very much but he doesn't want to participate in life. I would never leave him or cheat but I am angry sometimes that he doesn't even try. He says that I can do the things that he doesn't want to do, but it absolutely sucks. I travel sometimes alone. I make time to exercise and walk every day, but I honestly hate this life. It sometimes seems like he's dead inside. He doesn't tell me he loves me, though I understand it's hard if he doesn't even love himself. He doesn't express affection. He asked me the other day if I could help him have an orgasm. It felt so clinical. He may as well have been asking me to wash his back. I swear to God, sometimes I think our lives will consist of watching Battlestar Galactica or bad 80s and 90s movies in the evenings until we're dead. I know things could be so much worse. It makes me so sad to know that I can't see a way that they'll ever get better. Stories number 28. Am I in the wrong for not wanting to get back with my ex because my brother said so? Hey everyone. I'm really trying to make sense of the absolute movie I've been thrown in. For context, I am 20 and I was dating my ex-boyfriend, 21, for 2 years. My ex is my brother's best friend from childhood, so I basically grew up with him. I always had a crush on him but only did something about it after high school when we started dating. He was my world. We were perfect. There wasn't a day he wasn't by my side. I really loved him. 2 weeks ago I found out he cheated on me with a girl at a party. He came to me immediately afterwards crying and asking me for forgiveness. I literally shattered like glass. I didn't even respond. I grabbed my keys and left him in my own house. My brother called me a few hours later saying he heard what happened and tried to comfort me. We talked for a while and I told him that I'm breaking up with him. He said that wasn't a good idea. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Not a good idea that I break up with a guy who cheated on me. He complained that my ex was his best friend and he would be really bummed if I broke up with him. Like what? I told him I really didn't care. I didn't even think he'd still want to be friends with him after finding out he cheated on his sister. Anyway, I'm not getting back together with him, don't get me wrong, I loved him a lot, but he cheated on me and that's a level of disrespect I will never tolerate. My brother and I are not on speaking terms and my mom is kind of on his side. She said that he's just defending his friend. But I'm literally his sister. There's a lot more that went on in between, but I don't want to make this post too long. Let me know if you want me to go into more detail. Update. Am I in the wrong for not getting back with my ex because my brother said so? Hey again. So some of you wanted me to go into more detail and some of you had some questions about my brother and how he felt about our relationship at first. I'll start with saying that when I told my brother, who is 22 BTW, I was breaking up with his best friend, he was angry. I mean, like really mad. He kept telling me that I was trying to hurt his best friend and have him deal with a bummed out friend and whatnot. Obviously I was taken aback. He then went to go tell on me to my mom. My mom called me really upset. She said that I should stop working my brother's nerves and all kinds of nonsense. I told her the full story because obviously my brother didn't. I told her how my ex cheated on me. All she said was oh, then hung up, hadn't heard from her since. I won't lie, my mom has always favored my brother, but I excused it as a boy mom thing. She's never neglected me or treated me badly before, she just had an obvious favorite. I've also never been one to do the most for anyone's approval. A few of you had questions about my brother too. Like if he was a cheater too, and if he approved of my relationship in the first place. For the first question, my brother is a loser. He's really immature, so naturally girls don't want to spend a lot of time with him. I've told him several times that he should grow up or he'll be single forever. So, to answer your question, my brother has never even had the chance to cheat. As for the second question, my brother found it awkward at first but then he got over it. Plus me dating his best friend meant he'd practically see him 24/7, so I guess he didn't mind that much. He just didn't like the PDA and all that stuff. There isn't much to update on. My ex has tried and failed to contact me. All my friends have blocked him and no one is giving him any of my info. He's even tried contacting my boss. My brother is still insisting I talk to my ex. I continue to tell him to leave me alone. My mom is radio silent and honestly it's for the best. Will I get over this? Sure, but it'll take some time. I don't think this is something to get therapy over, but it'll need some healing. Thank you for all your lovely comments and messages. It's comforting to know there are people on my wavelength who understand that cheating is loser behavior and tolerance for it is even weirder. Stories number 29. Aita for not wanting to hang out with my husband's friend as a couple after his wife was a bridezilla and yelled at me. My husband was a groomsman in a wedding a little under 2 years ago. He was very close with the groom, but unfortunately, their friendship started falling off shortly after the groom started dating his now wife because she's socially abrasive and has to be right in conversation as if everything were debate. She once yelled at my husband to get out when he walked inside of their house to use the restroom. He had groom's permission when he was invited over for a visit with the groom. It ended up being an uncomfortable visit in the garage. The wedding. The bride called me on our way to the venue. Bridal party was asked to arrive 2 hours early and asked me to pick up a sign and book since it was overlooked. I was happy to help. My husband and I, one other wife, a friend of the groom and a few other groomsmen are chatting a bit during some idle time when I hear the bride screaming at the top of her lungs that anyone not in the bridal party is not allowed to be in this part of the venue until the wedding begins. Being one of the 3 guests there, one of 2 with spouses in the bridal party, I was very embarrassed. Were no signs, no instruction, the valet never notified us, security never notified us of this rule. I immediately wanted to leave and offered to pick my husband up when it was over. My husband was upset by this and said that he would leave if they found it acceptable to treat me like that, but I told him to stay, chalked it up to her being stressed. I ended up sitting in my car for over an hour with the other wife and didn't feel fully comfortable for the rest of the night. We've seen very little of them since the wedding. They had a gender reveal and we didn't make it because my mom just died a few days prior and I was still an absolute mess. They were pissed we didn't go and made it an opportunity to talk badly about us. Since then, I've only seen her for short moments in social settings where I try my best to keep my distance. The groom has been begging my husband and I to go boating with them, but I really don't want to be stuck on a boat with her for hours. My husband keeps bringing it up, and I keep reminding him that being around her makes me feel sick to my stomach. I tell him to go by himself, but he refuses this option. Every week for the past month he's brought up offers to go boating and every week I refuse to entertain the idea of it. Husband seems bothered by having to turn down what should be a fun time but understands that it wouldn't actually be a fun time. I feel like I may be the because husband and groom were very close and now that he's married to a woman I don't feel comfortable around, I am becoming the factor that keeps them apart. Stories number 30. Am I the Aita for not giving my ex a second chance after the humiliating breakup? I 21F was dating James 23M fake name for 3 years ago. I want to start that I'm a shy and super quiet person to be with. Even with him I always had a hard times to talk and speak about my days or whatever was happening in my life without getting nervous speaking about it. James on the other hand he is a social butterfly, he's talkative, has large group of friends and can even make conversations in seconds with people he knows on the streets. Long story short, he will usually drag me to his friends' parties or social hangouts so I could be friends with his friends but it never worked out. Most of his friends will not let me speak or talk without getting boring and just shoving me to the side. I had brought this up to James but he brushed it out as they're just not patient like that or they don't mean to be rude but I personally don't see like that, so I'm not like a toxic girlfriend or anything. I never looked at his phone to check if he's cheating or anything but I was so insecure how a lot of his girlfriends will hit on him on front of me without any reason whatsoever. The day of the breakup happened on a party of his friends and again I tried my best to socialize with his friends but there was no use. What happened is that I told James the first was going to go get some more snacks for the party and that's when out of nowhere he snapped at me saying, "See, you're just finding an excuse to leave the party. That's why my friends don't like you." I was speechless so I told him I wasn't leaving, I was just getting snacks, and that's when he had dropped the bomb and said he's done with me and to never contact him again, loud and clear for the entire room of people to hear, and then his friends started cheering like they just kicked out a rude friend or something. I wanted to cry so bad, so I left and good thing I had my car with me because on the way back home I bawled my eyes out like I've never cried in my life. I blocked him everywhere and so did with his friends. I felt so humiliated by the fact he didn't even decide to have a decent conversation alone without anyone hearing us speak, or I don't know, I just felt horrible how his friends started cheering him for breaking up with me like that. Fast forward to today, I had already moved on and was doing great when I got a long text message from a random number that had the same area code from my town. It was James. He started the message with how he's been doing in his life and yada yada. Then he said he had been in 3 relationships after our breakup and he said he didn't felt the same when he was with me. All the girls he dated even cheated on him or were too toxic and abusing, so he reached out to see if we can start again and give him another chance to be together. I was stunned. This man, after he humiliated me in front of his so-called friends, wanted a second chance because I was the only girl who didn't complain about his life and whatnot. I was angry. I told him that I don't think it was a good chance to try a relationship again because we were not even compatible to begin with, and that I was sorry for all the relationships he had troughed the years didn't work as expected, but I just couldn't trust him, or even I don't think I could fall in love with him again. This man didn't even apologize to begin with, so after I sent the message I blocked the number and went on my day. Now I'm getting angry messages of his friends calling me a and a SL*T for not giving him chance, and even to the point to bombard my phone with calls every single day. So Reddit, am I the Aita for refusing to give him a second chance? I just don't know what else to do. Update. Sorry for the late reply, but it's been a hectic of a week, but here's an update. I decided to take your advice and screenshotted all the messages that James' friends had sent to me throughout the week about me being the afterwards, and unblocked James and send all the screenshots to him. You won't believe it, but this man finally decided to believe me and apologized about his friend's behavior and how he didn't want this to go as far as it got. I've told him that this is one of the many reasons of why I can't give him another chance, because of the behavior of his friends were unbelievable behavior, and it just throws me off how I'm the youngest of the group who knows how to act like an adult. I also dropped the bomb on him that I'm seeing someone just talking stage, nothing serious just yet, that is taking their sweet time to know me as a person, and that's why I won't let him have another chance, because I'm not going for old scraps. He apologized again and even also said he just wanted to keep in contact with me because he thinks he owes it to me for all the trouble he caused. Don't know what he meant by that. By the time I wanted to finish the conversation, he told me that during our time together he had cheated with one of his girl's friends, so that also explains why he broke up with me that time, because he was sneaking around the stupid blonde sorority girl because she was better than me. Something like that. Saw it coming, not going to lie, but for some reason it did hurt now, even though it's been a while. He said he wanted some closure and telling me this was the end of it. I blocked him again, lol, and now my phone is finally back to being silent since I stopped getting calls and messages. Even his mom texted me saying sorry for his son behavior, so that's that. I want to appreciate those who convinced me not to give him another chance. I'm too much of a people pleaser and I just couldn't handle the stress that I was in the wrong. Thank you all of you. Aita for telling my younger daughter to be more like her sister. Okay. I know how that title sounds. And believe me, I'm bracing myself for the onslaught. But please, hear me out before deciding I'm some monster mom playing favorites. This is a throwaway account because, well, Reddit, and I'm not about to put my family's drama on blast under my usual handle. I, 45F, have two daughters. Emily, 17F, and Sophie, 14F. 3 years apart, two totally different universes. Emily is, how do I put this? The kind of teenager parents dream about. She's kind, patient, thoughtful. She gets good grades, practices violin without being reminded, volunteers at the animal shelter because she genuinely wants to, and has a group of equally down-to-earth friends. She's never given us an ounce of trouble. No parties, no vaping, no sneaking out, nothing like that. Just solid, steady maturity. Sophie, though. Sophie is like trying to hold on to a lightning bolt with your bare hands. She's bold, she's energetic, and sometimes I envy how sure of herself she is. But lately, it's been drama. So much drama. Since she hit puberty, it's been this relentless roller coaster of boy crushes, makeup, gossip, and social media obsession. She's always glued to her phone, always either giggling about some boy, posting selfies, or sending cryptic sad girl TikToks. At first, I wrote it off as normal teenage stuff. I mean, 14 is a messy age, right? But it's gotten mean. Manipulative. Like she'll flirt with boys on purpose, knowing full well they're into her, and then drop them like yesterday's lunch the second she gets bored. And she knows what she's doing. She calls it leveling up or testing her pull. Her words. A few weeks ago, she told me, laughing, that she called a boy from her school a side quest. Said it to his face. Mom, I'm the main story. He was just a side quest. I was stunned. I asked her if she thought that was a kind thing to say, and she just shrugged and said he was being clingy and annoying. And then, this was the kicker, I get a Facebook message from a mom at her school. Her son had been really down lately, and when she finally got him to open up, he said Sophie made him feel like he was just a game to be played. Apparently, this wasn't the first time a boy had gotten attached to her only to be treated like a prop in her own personal drama. That message hit me like a freight train. So the other night, I sat Sophie down. I wasn't yelling. I wasn't angry. I was just honest. I told her what I'd heard. I told her that this pattern, treating people like disposable characters, is not okay. That even at 14, other people's feelings matter, and you don't get to walk through life treating hearts like stepping stones. She barely looked up from her phone. Rolled her eyes, gave me the standard, ugh, whatever, teenager response. So I said it. I said, why can't you be more like your sister? And let me be clear, I wasn't trying to pit them against each other. I wasn't saying, be exactly like Emily or else. I was trying to draw a contrast, because Emily does treat people with kindness and respect. Emily doesn't play these cruel games. She's thoughtful, grounded. She thinks before she speaks. And I just wanted Sophie to see that there's another way to be, one that doesn't involve crushing people for sport. But oh my god, that blew up. Sophie exploded. She screamed that I always choose Emily. That I think Emily is perfect and she's the family screw-up. That Emily is boring, a pick-me girl, and that at least she is confident enough to be herself. She shouted something about feminine rage and expressing herself and not being punished for exploring her worth. Then she slammed her bedroom door so hard a picture fell off the wall. Now she's been giving me the silent treatment for days. We're talking full-on Cold War. Not even a glance at dinner. She's barely spoken to me, and when she does, it's with that icy, fake polite tone teens have perfected. My husband thinks I went too far. He says I'm reinforcing this idea that Emily is the golden child, and that comparisons, even well-meaning ones, never land the way we think they will. He's been trying to talk to Sophie on his own, playing the peacekeeper, while I sit here wondering if I really am the bad guy. But here's the thing. I'm scared. I'm scared that if I don't say something now, this behavior becomes her norm. That she grows into the kind of woman who sees relationships as power trips instead of partnerships. That she never learns how to sit with her own emotions, much less consider someone else's. I don't hate Sophie. I love her to bits. She's fiery, creative, and honestly one of the funniest people I know. But I feel like I'm watching her turn into someone who uses charm and manipulation as a weapon, and I don't know how to stop it. Was it wrong of me to bring up Emily as an example? Probably. But what am I supposed to do? Pretend this behavior is okay? Wait until some kid ends up worse off because my daughter thought he was just another confidence booster? Anyway. That's where I'm at right now. One daughter who thinks I hate her. One husband who thinks I'm unfair. And me, stuck in the middle, trying to figure out how to raise two very different girls without breaking one in the process. I haven't apologized yet. I don't know if I should. I don't want to undo the message by backpedaling, but I also don't want Sophie to feel like she's unloved or second best. So yeah. That's the mess. Aita. Update, Aita for telling my younger daughter to be more like her sister. Thanks to everyone who commented. I read a lot of your replies, even the harsher ones, and yes, some of them hurt. But some gave me real perspective. I didn't respond earlier because, truthfully, I needed time to cool off and figure out what kind of mother I want to be going forward. So here's what happened after the initial blow-up. Sophie stayed locked in her room for the better part of 2 days. She came out for meals, barely. Ate in silence, earbuds in, barely acknowledged me. The most interaction I got was her slamming her glass on the table like punctuation whenever I asked her a question. Meanwhile, Emily tried to stay out of it. She's always been pretty emotionally intuitive, and I could tell she felt awkward about the whole situation. At one point, she asked me quietly, did I do something wrong, and I swear, my heart cracked open. That's when it hit me, I wasn't just hurting Sophie by comparing them. I was putting pressure on Emily, too. She's a teenager, not some standard of perfection I should be holding over her sister's head. That realization stung. Anyway, back to Sophie. Day 3 of the silent treatment, my husband sat me down and basically said, you need to talk to her. Not as a parent laying down the law. As a person. He was right. I tried the lesson approach, the parent voice, but I hadn't actually talked to her. So that night, I knocked on her door. She ignored me. I knocked again and said, look, I'm not here to fight. I'm not even here to lecture. I just want 5 minutes. After that, I'll leave you alone. Silence. Then, finally, she opened the door, barely, and climbed back onto her bed like I was a visiting politician she was obligated to tolerate. I sat on the floor. I didn't ask to sit next to her, and she didn't offer. And then I told her the truth. Not the parenting truth. The me truth. I said, I'm scared. Not of you, but for you. Because you're smart and funny and magnetic, but I've been seeing you use those gifts in ways that could really hurt you, and others. And when I see that, it makes me panic. Because I know how hard this world can be on girls who think they have to win every interaction just to feel valuable. She didn't say anything. Just looked down at her hands. So I kept going. I told her that I was wrong to compare her to Emily. That it was unfair. That they are different people with different strengths and different ways of moving through the world. I said, you don't have to be Emily to be worthy. But you do have to treat people with respect. You don't have to love every boy who likes you. But you can't play with people's feelings like they're part of some game. She still didn't say anything, but then her shoulders dropped. That was the first clue she was actually hearing me. I asked if she wanted to say anything. She shook her head. I nodded, got up, and left her alone. The next day, she came into the kitchen while I was making coffee. She sat down and, completely out of nowhere, said, I don't like myself when I do that stuff. I just don't know how to stop. Her voice cracked a little. This girl, who had been stomping through the house like a storm cloud for days, suddenly looked 10 years old again. Vulnerable. Scared. We talked for a while. Turns out, a lot of the behavior I was seeing, flirting, power games, social manipulation, it was her way of trying to control something. Anything. Middle school had been rough. A few years back, she'd been excluded from a friend group out of nowhere. They told her she was too intense, too dramatic. It messed with her head, so she started leaning into the cool girl persona. The one who's never too attached, always one step ahead. She thought it would protect her. That being the one in control meant she couldn't get hurt. God, I wanted to cry. We ended up talking for 2 hours. She admitted that she had treated some boys badly. That calling that one boy a side quest was cruel, even if she thought it was just a joke. And then she asked, do you think I'm a bad person? I told her no. Absolutely not. I told her I thought she was a hurt person trying to feel powerful. And that hurt people aren't bad, they just need help finding better ways to cope. After that, we decided she'd write a message, just a simple apology, to the boy she'd hurt most recently. I didn't force her. She wanted to. And she did. She showed it to me. It wasn't perfect, but it was genuine. She also agreed, on her own, to take a break from dating for a little while. Not forever, she said, but until I'm ready to stop making it about me all the time. As for Emily, I apologized to her too. I told her that I'd been putting her on a pedestal, and that it wasn't fair to her either. I said, you don't have to be perfect. You're allowed to mess up too. She looked surprised, then hugged me. Since then, the house has been calmer. Not perfect, but better. Sophie's still Sophie. She's still loud and opinionated and messy. But she's also been more aware. She actually asked me the other day what I thought about one of her TikToks before posting it. That's new. I'm trying not to narrate her every move or analyze every improvement. I know growth doesn't happen overnight. But the fact that we're talking again, that she let me in, feels like a miracle in itself. So yeah. That's the update. I'm still learning. Still screwing up. But I think we're all going to be okay. Update 2, Aita for telling my younger daughter to be more like her sister. It's been almost a month since that huge blow-up with Sophie, and I've been wanting to write an update, not just to share what's happened, but honestly to get it off my chest. Because while the initial tension has cooled down, the aftershocks. Yeah, they're still coming. Let's start with the good. Sophie has been trying. I won't pretend she transformed overnight into a model citizen or some wise beyond her years teenager. But something shifted. She still rolls her eyes sometimes, still argues just to argue, but there's more self-awareness now. Like the reflex to lash out is still there, but she's thinking twice before acting on it. For example, a week after our talk, she got into a little drama at school. A rumor got out that she was texting someone else's crush, and suddenly her group chat turned into a war zone. In the past, she would have gone full scorched earth, screenshots, cryptic Insta stories, sarcastic TikToks, the works. But this time, she came to me, actually sat down at the kitchen counter while I was making dinner and asked, "Can I talk to you without you mama and me?" Which, honestly, is the most teenager way to ask for help ever. She told me what happened, asked what I'd do, and listened. Not with that glazed over look, but really listened. We talked it through. I told her to imagine how the other girl felt, how humiliating it is to think someone you like was being pulled into a mess. And for once, Sophie didn't go into defense mode. She said, yeah. That would suck. She didn't even deny it. She just kind of sat with the discomfort. That weekend, she apologized to the girl, face to face. She didn't post about it or try to save face. And you know what? That took guts. But of course, real life is rarely wrapped up in a bow. And the more one daughter starts growing, the more layers get peeled back, especially with Emily. Here's the thing. Everyone's always seen Emily as the good kid. The reliable one. The calm one. But something about that role. I think it's starting to weigh on her. Like maybe she's been performing maturity for so long, no one noticed she's quietly falling apart. It started with little things. She's been snapping at her sister more, not in a teasing way, but with this quiet resentment underneath. One day, after Sophie interrupted her during homework, Emily slammed her laptop shut and yelled, "I can't do everything right all the time, you know." It stunned both of us. Later, when I checked on her, she told me she's been feeling invisible. That we're all so focused on Sophie's problems, on managing her moods, on helping her grow, that Emily's stuck in a role where she's never allowed to screw up. She said, "You talk to Sophie like she's a project. But with me, it's like, if I stop being perfect for 1 second, I'm a disappointment." That one broke me, because she's right. I didn't mean to put her in a box, but I did. I saw her as my anchor. And in doing that, I stopped seeing her as a whole person, one with her own fears and flaws and pressures. She's applying to colleges now, juggling AP classes, music recitals, volunteer work, and all the while trying to be the stable one in a family that's been running on emotional fumes. So I sat her down too. I told her I'd failed her in a different way. That just because she's capable doesn't mean she doesn't need support. That I don't expect perfection, and that she doesn't have to be the contrast to Sophie in order to be valued. Since then, we've been doing something new. Sunday mornings, just the two of us, we go out for coffee. No chores, no mom talk, just a couple hours to be people. Sometimes we just sit and people watch in silence. Sometimes she vents. Sometimes we say nothing at all. But it's become ours. Meanwhile, Sophie's watching all this. She asked the other day, "Do you wish I was more like Emily again?" And this time, I said, "No. I just want you to be you, but kind. That's all." She didn't respond right away. But later that night, she asked if she could help cook dinner. She peeled 3 potatoes and accidentally dropped one, screamed like it was on fire, and told me she deserved financial compensation for emotional trauma. It was absurd and ridiculous. And so her. We laughed. That night, Emily actually joined us at the table. No earbuds. No passive-aggressive silence. Just the 3 of us talking like a family that might, finally, be learning how to talk to each other instead of about each other. I don't know if this is a happy ending. Honestly, I don't even know if we're halfway through the hard stuff. But I do know this: I've stopped trying to mold them into versions of each other. And I've started trying to see them as themselves. Messy, imperfect, learning in real-time people. Just like their mom. Final update, Aita for telling my younger daughter to be more like her sister. It's been about 6 months since the original post, and I've reread it more times than I care to admit. Every time, I cringe a little, not because it wasn't true, but because I can hear the fear in my own voice. I was writing like someone trying to steer a ship in a storm without a compass, and what I've come to realize is, parenting is that storm. Constant motion, unpredictable tides, moments of clear sky, followed by waves that come out of nowhere. But we've found land. Maybe not solid ground, but something steadier than where we started. Let's start with Sophie. She's still Sophie. Funny, sharp-tongued, full of attitude and one-liners that are either wildly inappropriate or weirdly profound for a 14-year-old. But she's grown in ways I didn't see coming, not just in behavior, but in awareness. She got her first real heartbreak in May. A boy she liked for months ended up liking someone else. She came home quiet, no dramatic door slam, no angry tears, no, he's a loser anyway. Just sat on the edge of the couch, looked at me, and said, "This sucks." I told her yes. It really does. And then I asked if she wanted to talk or just sit. She chose to sit. We watched half of a movie in silence, and eventually she leaned over and whispered, "Is this what I made other people feel like?" I didn't say yes. I didn't need to. She already knew. That moment. It wasn't about punishment or karma, it was growth. Real, painful, necessary growth. And after that, something clicked. She's still figuring herself out, but she's been more mindful. Less performative. She unfollowed a bunch of those toxic, bad B*TCH energy influencers and started following artists and musicians instead. She even started journaling, on paper, not online. When I teased her about going analog, she said, "It's for me, not the algorithm." Touché, we still fight sometimes. She still tests limits. But the difference is now, she circles back. She apologizes. She tries. As for Emily, she surprised us all. In the best way. After months of carrying the perfect daughter torch, she finally dropped it. Or maybe she just set it down gently. She got rejected from her dream school in early April. We were all expecting tears or devastation, but she looked at the email, shrugged, and said, "Okay." So plan B. That night, she told us she'd decided to defer college altogether, take a gap year, volunteer abroad, and live. Not just keep stacking achievements to impress a panel of strangers. Her exact words were, "I've been living like a resume, not a person." I almost cried. My husband and I took a deep breath and agreed. We said, "If you're brave enough to choose something different, we'll support you." She's leaving in September. South America. Volunteer program focused on environmental education. Sophie's already calling it her Eat Pray Love year, which Emily pretends to hate but secretly finds hilarious. The girls? They're not best friends. Let's not pretend we're in a Disney movie. But they've started talking. Not just tolerating each other, but really talking. One night, I overheard them on the porch. Sophie was asking Emily what heartbreak feels like when you're older. Emily said, "It's the same, but heavier." And Sophie said, "I don't want it to get heavier." And Emily replied, "It always does. But you get stronger." That's when I knew we'd turned a corner. As for me, I've stopped trying to parent by comparison. Stopped seeing their personalities as opposing forces I needed to balance. My daughters aren't yin and yang. They're just two entirely different galaxies orbiting the same sun. I'm learning to love them as they are, not as I hoped they'd be. Some nights, we all sit around the table. Emily playing some indie folk song on her guitar, Sophie doodling tattoo ideas in her sketchbook. My husband and I making dinner while pretending we're not watching them like the softest, most ridiculous sitcom parents alive. And every once in a while, I'll catch them laughing at the same joke, or sharing a look only sisters understand, and I think, this is enough. It's not perfect. It's not polished, but it's real. So, no, I'm not the a-hole. I was a scared mom making a desperate choice in a messy moment. But I was wrong. Wrong in how I framed it, wrong in how I spoke it. I've said this to both of them since, and I'll say it here too. You don't raise good kids by demanding they copy someone else. You raise them by helping them figure out who they are, and loving them fiercely through that process, even when it's hard to watch. That's what I'm trying to do now. Thanks, Reddit, for helping me get there. Mom, learning as she goes.